Yeah. I'm at Grace Church Road. I went to Waynesboro to bring this man down to this address. And now he's trying to force his way into a house. I'm afraid to move my vehicle. Just placing in there.
It's inside the house now?
Yeah.
Do you have your doors locked?
It's open. I'm in a van.
You need to make yourself safe, okay? Even if you've got to drive away from there to get away from him and close that and lock that door. Do that for me now, please.
Okay, wait a minute.
All right, and boom, we're live. And of course, welcome to Jeff, our guest.
Hey.
Yeah,
Hello, Jeff.
Adam, I don't know if you know this, but you probably don't actually, because I didn't tell you. But Jeff actually did our thumbnail for tonight.
Excellent thumbnail. I was actually going to compliment you on it, Sonny.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jeff, good job.
I appreciate you letting me do that. That was fun.
Yeah. Sometimes people say that, and then I ask them to do it, and then nobody can ever be asked. And I'm like, well, here's your opportunity. If you want to create something, great. So what I said to Jeff, I said, hey, do you want to create the thumbnail tonight? And the reason sometimes I do that is that when I know that, like, for instance, Jeff's, like really into something or whatever. And I thought, you know what, if he has time, maybe he would like just to make the thumbnail for the live tonight, because he's going to be on it. And it allows me to see somebody else's creativity. Right. I absolutely loved it. It's simple. And that's exactly
Excellent.
Lots of times, I've been known and you've been known to kind of probably overdo it more than what we should, because we know when most people are on phones that it's what's grabbing their eye right away. And it's usually something like what Jeff did for a thumbnail, which is more simple to the point. And yet, that little bit of mystery in there, like you'll see footsteps or whatever behind, if you actually truly look at the thumbnail.
Absolutely.
And so
it's like an album cover. Remember those?
Yeah. Right.
You did, something that's not easy to do, and you did a really good job of it. Also, is capturing the 3D element almost of the text.
Yeah. So for now on, Jeff, I'm sorry. Just every time I say I have a live to do, no, just kidding. I'm kidding.
If I have the time, I'll do it. It was fun.
Yeah. No. If there's ever a time you're like, hey, Sonny, can we do a thumbnail for you tonight? I'll be like, sure, absolutely. But anyways, this was perfect. It has, like Adam was saying, right, that deep effect.
Everything's spelled right.
Yeah, you spelled Bryan right. But yeah, just perfect. Got the sheath in there that, like I said, that opacity behind, the picture of Bryan's face with the eye, the little footsteps towards the kitchen sliding doors there. It was perfect.
When it first started coming together, it was just the kitchen and then the foreground Bryan, but he was smaller, and it was kind of creepy because he was size relation wise. It would look like, okay, that's how he would look standing in that kitchen, and kind of was. That's why I started going for that, and it's like, okay, he's a little too small in the frame, though. But
no, great thumbnail. Totally, exactly the way a thumbnail, pretty much in a sense, should be done.
There's a DNA strand also behind his head. I don't know if you can see that.
I did notice that.
Did you notice that? Oh, cool.
I didn't.
Adam wins a prize. What's the prize for Adam for noticing that?
I don't need a prize.
The prize is always every time we do a live. It's yeah. So you guys in tonight's live, and we'll just welcome people in a second. So Jeff is joining us tonight, and thank you, Jeff. Jeff's been on our show once before. So this live is going to be about Idaho, of course. And what we're going to do with you guys is, at first, me and Adam are going to read 3 pages total from the affidavit, because we want you guys to be in line with the timeline. So a lot of people probably have forgotten exactly what was said and what the times were. And then we're going to go into each a virtual tour. I'll have to do Adam's for his since he can't share screen, but we're basically going to be like in our own heads how we think the events happened during that time while Bryan was in the house. And then, so that's basically what this live is going to be about, going into that virtual tour and then just talking about this small window of time that everything seemed to happen in. But of course, before we get started, hi, Adam. Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
Okay.
Hey.
Now, Jeff, tell everybody about all the wonderful stuff that you know how to do.
About stuff with what? Kind of like my...
Well, just your whole thing. Like, you're obviously a creator. Like, you meaning, when I say creator, again, you do videos and stuff. Just basically give us.
Oh yeah. Just a overview, quick. Yeah. I mean, I'm a video editor by trade, so I edit in Adobe Premiere. I used to work at a place full time. Now I work from home, and have still keep in touch with a lot of clients that I used to work with when I was full time. Your intro for your show is very much like similar to a project I'm working on right now, where we're a lot of police sirens and video clips like that. I'm also a guitarist.
I see you back there.
Yeah. And my wife's calling me, and I didn't let her know I was going to be on a live stream. Should I answer it?
Yeah, answer it and put yourself on mute, and we'll just go and say hellos. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
So we'll say hello to Tommy Baker. How are you? Yeah. Oops, my mouse wants to piss me off. I see. Okay, Miss Dog Lover's in the house. She's falling asleep, I'm sure. I'm here for a few. Back to work today. We'll watch.
2:40 a.m. there.
Yeah, 2:42 to be. I know you're rounding it off. Virgo's in the house. There's Shelly. Hey, Shelly, how are you? Hey, Jess, how are you?
Hey,
PJ's in the house. It's a crime. Hey, is Streamlabs in the house yet? Streamlabs sometimes lets me down. I usually have to do hello twice for it to pop up.
Hey, well, I'll take Mustang. Hey, Mustang. Mustang's here. We can take Mustang and not Streamlab.
Okay. What about this person?
Oh, hey, JDR. I agree with you.
Who's this?
I believe that too. They got tons of evidence that we don't even know about.
Yeah, I agree. Lacey, hey, good to see you, Lacey.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, we missed one. Mama T.
Mama T. There's Diana. How are you? Helen's from Australia. Good to see you.
Hi, Helen.
Good day, mate.
Good day, mate. Who's this?
Oh, that's a sexy gentleman that's here often. Yeah. Hey, Ray Jones.
It's not quite Tom Webster, is it? But close.
I mean,
very similar personalities. What did you say?
Absolutely.
Streamlabs did make it finally into the house. And let's see. I think that's it. I think that's all we got so far. We know that our... Go ahead.
I wanted to say really quickly, I know that we're talking about Idaho tonight. For a lot of our Delphi viewers or anything, if you... I heard this morning that Randy Gravitt, who has a channel, he did suffer from a heart attack. So I wanted to say, of course, everyone send some prayers out. And, our love is there for Randy, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Randy. Yeah.
Yes. And my bad, because I apologize, because I was told that this morning by a couple of people. I think it was Deb was the first one, and then another, I think it was it Mustang? And then, but anyway, so it was Randy. I'm sorry if I haven't posted anything on your thing, but much love, buddy. And please stay well. And I'm so sorry that, of course, that happened. But you know what? Apparently he's at his brother's house or something like that. and he's stable.
That's
Anyways,
good. That's a good sign.
so prayers to Randy Gravitt. You know, a long time, you know, since the case began with Delphi, and everyone loves Randy. Randy is just a good-hearted dude, right? So prayers to Randy.
Get better.
Yeah. What was I going to say? I was going to say something and now I forget. I don't remember. Anyways, I don't remember what I had a thought. That thought's gone.
It'll come back. It'll come back.
Yeah. No, well, if it doesn't, it doesn't. Oh well.
Go through the alphabet. Usually, when I forget something, it's like, okay, just start with an A, B, C.
Yeah,
Yeah, fish. I was gonna get a fish. I was gonna get a fish sandwich.
Jeff, I don't know if you've ever met Sunny, but you know, by the time she got to F, she would have gone, "What was I doing?"
You're right.
It does always make me laugh though, because my brain, the thoughts in my brain are traveling so fast, like the speed of light in there. It's very easy for me to lose track of what the original point was, because, you know, you go make a point and you're going, what the heck did I just trail off to? So when I come across other people that do that same thing, I'm like, I can relate totally.
Right. I have a bad
being
habit.
in one of those wind machines with all the dollars flying around. It's like, oh, there's one. I got an idea.
Exactly. I have a bad habit. When I type, I forget words because my mind's going faster than I'm typing, and so and they're usually unimportant words like, you know, the or for, but
Right.
I'll read something back and I've left out like in full words.
I've done that in messages, you know, where you totally forget to put a word in. And I'm like, God, I just look like an idiot, because I am not one that usually looks over my sentence. I'm too busy cursing out Siri for not freaking, you know, doing her job properly. Like I'm literally typing a message of did, and it put the word dead, you know. So I'm sure, so Jeff was probably looking at that message going, yeah, I wish you were dead. I'm like, and that's like, no, the word was did, not dead, Siri. Okay, smart. But anyway, but I don't usually look at, you know, my stuff as I hit send. I'm just too lazy to go back to it. You know, sometimes I do, but it's more effort. I'm just like, read my typos and suck it up. A new guest for me looking. There you go, Joan. Hey, Joan. Okay, you guys. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to read page 7. Adam's going to read page 3 and 4. And then we're going to get into the virtual tour. And that's where Jeff will start us off. Now, Jeff, before we do that, let's just go back. Because you didn't quite finish. Your wife had called. How is the wife?
She's fine. I got Taco Bell on the way.
Oh, okay. Well, okay,
that's how awesome she is.
So when your
That's a
camera
dangerous
goes
thing to
up,
say around here.
Can I eat in front of you guys and just?
Absolutely, but you know, now like 15 other people are going to order Taco Bell tonight.
That's right. That's right.
I love tacos, but I love homemade tacos. Taco Bell just doesn't equate, but it's a second runner up for sure.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, so watch you guys, when Jeff says he needs to go for a moment, that's because his Taco Bell came, even if it's in the middle of the virtual tour.
I can wait.
No. I mean, Adam does the same thing, right? There's nothing like cold butt food. You know, I know tacos are cold kind of anyway, but go ahead and finish off. Okay, so unless you
there wasn't much more. I mean, other than, you know, I'm a visual guy because of the video editing and the photography. I love visual stuff, and I love music. Love playing music. I've been playing guitar since high school, and but it wasn't until like in my 50s I took some guitar lessons and then actually learned. Yeah, I waited way too long. If you're like a guitarist and you're like, oh, I don't need to learn about music theory, don't wait until you're 50, because then, oh my gosh, all the light bulbs started going off and ideas and stuff that sounded so difficult. It's like Eddie Van Halen's just using a major scale right there. That's all it was. Oh man, you know, I could have never figured that out. So yeah, it's very cool. And I think too, learning how to speak the language of music theory, feeling like, wow, I was so stupid before because I couldn't understand any of it. Now I get it. It's just a great thing when you get a feeling like, if I can learn that, then I can learn that. I can learn that. I can do about anything. So that's a great feeling.
That's my problem too, is that because I was creative, I took band in school. I mean, I learned to play that freaking clarinet like nobody's business. But do you think the teacher ever called me to play the lesson that, like, when the teacher would go around and go, she'd literally go, okay, we'll start with you. Okay, your turn. And I'm sitting there. I'm the one that practiced it all night, freaking have it down solid. And then it's like, okay, moving on. And I would like never get called. And I'm just like, I'd be so mad because I worked my ass off, because it was one of those things is like, you can put any instrument in front of me and I will learn it. I could easily learn it because I just grasp creativity and stuff like that. Now, although I wanted to learn the piano, and my dad tried to teach us the guitar when we were kids, but the bottom line is that because I was so small and I was only like 3 years old, I always had to lay the guitar down in my lap to play it. So I got frustrated by that. And because being left-handed, I mean, guitars weren't really meant for left-handed people back when I was younger, in a sense, like, yeah, but not the one my dad had, right? So it got frustrating. So then I just kind of gave up. Whereas my older sister, Satan, she knows how to play the guitar like really wicked, because she kept doing it, but when it comes to creativity, that's what I know about you, Jeff. In the little bit that I do know of you, besides you come stalk our channel all the time and love us. No, just kidding.
Biggest fan.
Yeah, I know, right? And so I love it when somebody's very creative, and that's why I was like, when you did the thumbnail tonight, I was like, oh, cool, like that's perfect. Like you were just right in line with what I would have envisioned, like a nice thumbnail. And then, like I said, plus music, and you do videos, create videos. You showed me trailers you've done for things, and you do a really good job, and it makes my stuff look like kid play in a sense. But maybe not kid play.
No, everybody's. I mean, everybody's got a different vision and a different view, and a different voice. There's a guitar teacher. I used to like how he'd always say that it's like I'm not teaching you to sound like me or to sound like anybody else. I'm just trying to teach you to sound like yourself, because you have a unique voice, and that's But I don't love the blank slate. When I open up Photoshop and it's just white, it's a blank slate, and I'm like, oh God. It's like, do I know what the heck I'm doing? Have I forgotten everything I've ever known? It's like, this is gonna suck, maybe. All those negative voises, and then the positives, like, you've done some cool stuff before. Okay, fine, whatever because you can manipulate it.
Hold on a second. Sandra Kohberger. That almost sounds like Bryan Kohberger. You just put your panties in a pinch there, all right? This is our channel, our live. When we're ready to go, we'll go. Where
Sandra, if you need to go to the bathroom, we can wait for you.
Yeah, honestly, I just love it when people say, come on, let's go, as if you're running the channel. So, Sandra, either leave through the door that you came in, or be quiet and just listen to the show. If it's bugging you, I'm so sorry, but this show does not revolve around you. And I'm sorry, but when I see
it does, but
it's just, they piss me off, because it's like, come on, let's go. No, this is how the show runs. If you want to go,
there are a lot of other channels for them to watch, but just not as good as this one. But I mean, there are a lot of other ones. If you're a channel surfer, you can't take it. Like, I want to check switch channel.
It's like I just love it when people like, go make your own channel, run it however you want. But it's ones like that just kind of set me off a bit. Like, go run your own darn show. Shut up, sit down, and just wait, okay? No offense, Sandra, but come on, that's just rude a little bit, eh? So anyways, I guess we should go because Sandra said we should. What do you think?
Well, everyone's excited to hear, to get to the information. So I get it. But I do want Helen. Helen was asking, Helen, I'm sure you know the basic gist of the case, but on November 13th, 2022, 4 University of Idaho students, Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Carnodal, and Ethan Chapin, were killed in the house that the 3 girls were living in Moscow, Idaho. Then on December 29th, I believe it was, Bryan Kohberger was arrested. And what we're going to talk about tonight is kind of our theories on what happened when Bryan was in the residence. So that's the very bare bones of the case. But he is in custody in Latah County Jail right now, awaiting his next I guess it would be his trial date that's set, right? Or is there something before that?
No, I don't think so. I think it's, I don't know.
Actually. November
2nd, wasn't it? Yeah.
So that's the basic gist of it, Helen. And I'm so sorry about your mother.
What did Helen say? Where?
Her mother passed away a few weeks ago.
is that what you? Oh, sorry, Helen, I didn't finish reading the rest of it. I seen. Can you please? And that's all I seen in my head. I've missed a lot lately because my mother passed away. Oh yeah. Okay, Helen. I'm so sorry I didn't see that initially. I just caught the top of the line there. You know, I was gonna say, I don't even know what to say really to that besides prayers, hugs, and hopefully we can bring a few smiles to your face. Thanks, Helen.
Talking about true crime.
Yeah, I mean, true crime always puts a smile on the face, right? I know. But that's why we have to keep it lighthearted as well. And Sandra, I want to go back to you for 1 second. We are only at the 20-minute mark. Normally we go a full half an hour of nothingness, of just whateverness. All right, let's go.
Or Sandra. we're just taking a piss, Sandra.
This is your captain. We're going to be on the tarmac just a little bit longer. Just keep your seatbelts fastened and
have a few drinks, Sandra. On Miss
a few drinks on the house.
On Aspen Air.
Aspen Air, yeah. Who the heck is? Yeah, I don't know, Diana. Okay, so I'm going to read page 7. You guys, I'm going to take us off screen for a sec because, again, we're just going to go over page 7, 3, and 4. I'm going to go over page 7, then Adam's going to go over 3 and 4. So this is going to give you the timeline again, you guys, till we go into the virtual tour. And then, of course, there you go. You guys always bring smiles. Thank you very much, Helen. Okay, so let's for Sandra, let's just shut up and get moving on. All right. Here you go, Sandra. Law enforcement. I'm just kidding. I was just talking slow. Okay, so law enforcement officers provided video footage of suspect vehicle 1 to forensic examiners with the Federal Bureau, blah, 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 that regularly utilize surveillance footage. Okay, wait, do I even want to be at that part? I don't think so. I think I want to be more down here. You know, am I on the right freaking page? I'm messing with my own mind. I was just looking at this a second ago. Why do I have page
the bottom paragraph, it talks about at approximately 2:53 a.m. a white sedan, which is consistent with the description.
No, that's not. No. 1 second. Let me just hold on. Sorry, Sandra.
Which part were you looking for, Sunny?
I think I was looking for a page either up or down. Okay, here it is. Okay. I wanted 6. My bad, people. My bad. Okay. I was looking at the next page after, which had 7 on it. So, Sandra, you must be just having heebie-jeebies right now. Okay, here we go. All right. I think that was karma. Okay, I think that was just karma that I accidentally pulled off the wrong page, wasted some more time. Okay, so a review of the footage from multiple videos obtained from King Road showed that multiple sightings of suspect vehicle 1 starting at 3:29. Okay, so that's kind of basically when he left Pullman area and ending at 4:20 a.m. So the suspect vehicle 1 can be seen entering around the 4th time at approximately 4:04 a.m. It can be seen driving eastbound onto King Road, stopping and turning around in front of 500 Queen Road, number 52, then driving back westbound on King Road. When suspect vehicle 1 is in front of the King Road resident, it appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road. The vehicle then continued to the intersection of Queen Road and King Road, where it can be seen completing a 3-point turn and then driving eastbound again down Queen Road. Suspect vehicle is next seen departing the area of the King Road residence at approximately 4:20. So those are the times I want you to remember, because 4:04, he's not in the house yet, okay? If that's Bryan Kohberger in that vehicle at 4:04, he's doing all these 3-point turns, turning around, blah, blah, blah. He's not in the house. And the time that they're saying at the end is 4:20, even though you're going to see in what Adam reads, 4 o'clock to 4:25, that they believe that the homicides happened. Okay, so we'll just start you off at that starting point. Now Adam can go to his.
Absolutely. And I am going to start a little bit. I'm going to read some of the stuff they were doing earlier in the evening just for people that, as a refresher. But this says, on the evening of November 12th, 2022, Chapin and Kernodle are seen by Bethany at the Sigma Chi house, on the University of Idaho campus at approximately 9 p.m. on November 12th to 1:45 on November 13th. Bethany also estimated that approximately 1:45, Chapin and Kernodle returned to the King Road residence. Bethany also stated that Chapin did not live at the King Road residence, but was a guest of Kernodle. Goncalves and Mogan were at a local bar, the Corner Club, in Moscow. Goncalves and Mogan can be seen on video footage provided by the Corner Club between 10 p.m. on November 12th and 1:30 a.m. on November 13th. At approximately 1:30 a.m., Goncalves and Mogan can be seen on video at a local food vendor called the Grub Truck in downtown Moscow. The Grub Truck live streams video from their food truck on the streaming platform Twitch, which is available for public viewing on their website. This video was captured by law enforcement. A private party then reported that he provided a ride to Goncalves and Mogan at approximately 1:56 a.m. from downtown Moscow in front of the Grub Truck to the King Road residence. Dylan and Bethany, who were the existing roommates, and this is the part where we get into the timeline of what happened at the house. Dylan and Bethany both made statements during interviews that indicated the occupants of the King Road residence were all home by 2 a.m. and asleep, or at least in their rooms by approximately 4 a.m. This is with the exception of Kernodle, who received a DoorDash order at the residence at approximately 4 a.m. Law enforcement identified the DoorDash driver who reported this information. So page 4 goes on to say, Dylan stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast side of the second floor. Dylan stated she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. by what she stated sounded like Goncalves playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which was located on the third floor. A short time later, Dylan said she heard who she thought was Goncalves say something to the effect of, "There's someone here." A review of records obtained from a forensic download of Kernodle's phone showed this also could have been Kernodle, as her cellular phone indicated she was likely awake and using the TikTok app at approximately 4:12 a.m. Dylan stated she looked out of her bedroom but did not see anything when she heard the comment about someone being in the house. Dylan stated she opened her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Kernodle's room. Dylan then stated she heard a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." At approximately 4:17 a.m., a security camera located at 1112 King Road, a residence immediately to the northwest of 112 King Road, picked up distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper, followed by a loud thud. A dog can also be heard barking numerous times, starting at 4:17 a.m. The security camera is less than 50 feet from the west wall of Kernodle's bedroom. Dylan stated she opened her door for the third time after she heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's face and nose walked towards her. Dylan described the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past Dylan as she stood in a frozen shock phase. The man walked towards the back sliding glass door. Dylan locked herself in the room after seeing the male. Dylan did not state that she recognized the male. This led investigators to believe the murderer had left the scene. This combination of Dylan's statements to law enforcement, reviews of forensic downloads of records from Dylan and Bethany's phone, and video of a suspect video as described below leads investigators to believe the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m.
Hey, Sonny, you need to scroll up a little. We're a little past that.
No, he went past further.
Yeah, I wanted
Gotcha.
I wanted to go to the part where they said what time they kind of the window they gave.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So, again, it's so basically, yes, we're looking from about 4 o'clock to the 4:25 area in there.
Which is a broad window for what we know.
Yeah, because like, for instance, like I was saying to Jeff earlier, like 4:12 is when they can literally look on the digital data that Zaina was on her TikTok at 4:12. Now, like
Right.
I was saying to Jeff, yeah, she, her app might be logged in. Doesn't mean she had it in her hand at the time. It could have been that she went to the kitchen and, she was still showing on TikTok. Like I do.
Or she was in her room on TikTok while he was upstairs.
She was. Yeah. So anyway, so Jeff is going to do the first virtual tour. So Jeff, whenever you're ready, just bring up the share screen. And then Jeff's going to go through what he thinks kind of happened that day. Now, Jeff, just to give an explanation, you think that this happened in a 9-minute window. And so explain why you think it's 9 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've heard people say 9 minutes and calculate 9 minutes. I just think it's a lot of people, when they say that, they say it's like, well, that's impossible. How could he have done that? And I guess there's part of me that well, I'll show you what I think happened. I think the main thing. Let me share the screen here.
Yeah.
This one. The main thing is that I guess in my mind I'm thinking that it's a to make it possible, it's that Bryan has to interact or struggle with just one person at a time. I don't think he had to to encounter more than one at a time.
Okay. So what time do you believe that he comes in? I guess you can start from whenever you're ready, but what time
What
do
did
you
the
believe?
affidavit say? 4:04 was when the car was seen.
Well, that's when it was seen doing, like, meaning he did a bunch of moves prior to him actually, say, perhaps going into the house. So he did, like, at 4:04, he was seen obviously on probably one of the cameras, like probably maybe that one house cam. The blue house, the one that has where their camera was taken. Yeah, like where he was doing 3-point turns, and then there's other people's cameras. So bottom line is, like, you have to give definitely a few minutes at that point because he's too busy trying to park and do 3-point turns. And that's when his car was seen at first. And then they go into because that was the fourth time. Was it 4:04?
The first time,
right.
The first time was at 3:29, and then when he finally was seen the last time entering the area was 4:04.
Right. Now I picture in my mind that he ended up parking behind the house, or do you think he left the car at the front of the house?
Well, you tell your story. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I've got this theory but it's all inside the house. I don't even know exactly how he got inside the house. Actually, after being on Daniel's show on Drunk Turkey, he kind of talked me out of my dog walking theory prior to, because I thought maybe because I have a dog myself, and I know sometimes if depending on if the nature calls and he's got to go to the bathroom, it doesn't matter what time it is. It could be 4 a.m. and you go out and you walk the dog and you leave the sliding glass door open, and so that was my initial theory, but I don't know. I'm not sure that's anyway.
I was just going to state, you know what, just again, do you on this one and start with what time you think he's entered the house and just go through your exact movements in the virtual tour. And again, we'll each do ours and then it will turn into a discussion after that about whatever. Now, by the way, the poll, just quickly, the poll says 72% still believe that it was one person. I believe Bryan Kohberger myself was the only acting person in this, but some people believe perhaps more, but 72% still believe it's just one. Anyways, with that being said, Jeff, go right ahead. And I'll make the screen bigger if you'd like so that people can see it better.
Yeah, if you want, that's good.
Oh, hey, Jeff, just remind, I forgot about that. Remember how I was talking about time? So you guys, the live is saying that we're at 34 minutes and 11 seconds at the moment. So basically, within, say, about 10 minutes time, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, maybe I just try and talk it through and not ramble on too much so that it's close to maybe that time.
However you want to do it.
I mean, I think it's difficult to, I think this kind of thing to like get a bunch of friends together, set a timer, and then like role play it and say, hold on, we got like, know, whichever way, you got time left over or you don't have any time left over, and it's impossible. But
Jeff, how do you approach that suggestion with friends? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be Bryan, and then you.
Okay. We'll shut up. You go ahead. You start your. You start your.
So I do believe, however he managed, came through the sliding glass door, and went through the kitchen. Now, was the sliding glass door lock messed up? Maybe it was kept unlocked. I don't know. However he got in, and I believe he went heading towards the stairs that go from the kitchen, went up the stairs. Yeah,
Jeff, the only thing I want to stop you on, and then I'll let you be. But just tell me, what approximate time do you think he came in that back?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, if it was 4:04 when his car was last seen and he parked it, I mean, I'd say maybe it takes like a minute or so to get into the house. And if that's assuming he went directly in, like parked, went right on in as if know it was left open for him or something.
Okay,
so that's an awful thought to think. I don't want to imply that any of the other roommates left it open for him, but
okay.
So he comes through the door. Maybe it's like what, 4:05, 4:06. Heads upstairs. Now let's see, rounds the turn, comes upstairs. Where's the stairs? Okay, the stairs are here. Now this door right here at the top of the stairs, this was Kaylee's room, right? This is where they found the dog. And no,
it's the other one.
No, right.
Oh, hold on. Am I turn around?
Yeah, your turnaround, Sonny. Jeff was correct.
Yeah. Okay, so this is Kaylee's room, and in my theory, I imagine that Kaylee was maybe in here with the dog. Now, again, back to the original theory I had, she had walked the dog, took him out to pee. My theory even went so far as to say maybe she was wondering, why is Jack D not answering my calls, my text messages, and maybe I'll let the dog pee kind of down towards his house. He's only a block away, right? I'll just go down there, see if the lights are on. And maybe, didn't see any lights on, just left it at that. Came back. So she's in the room, maybe has finished walking the dog. I know sometimes my dog's a little... Huh?
Can you go in that room?
Yeah. So she goes in this room. Where's the door? Okay, so the door is there. The dog is in here. Maybe the dog is not feeling like going to sleep right away, is a little playful. Maybe that's what Dylan heard. Maybe she's got the door closed because she doesn't want to disturb anybody else with the dog's rambunctiousness, per se. So as that's going on, she's in there. I'll go back to my original theory, but I
go back
because my theory kind of had to fit, like that he's only having to deal with one person at a time. So she's in the room with the dog. That's what Dylan's hearing. Bryan comes into Maddie's room through here. Maddie, I picture Maddie as she was very drunk, and I picture her, maybe she's passed out and on the bed. So I think that this is where it starts, and Bryan, kind of taking advantage of the fact that she's lying there drunk and maybe passed out and maybe asleep. Maybe, I don't know if she experienced any of it, because, I hope she didn't. So Bryan begins here. Now Kaylee hears something and says, there's somebody here. And I think closes the door, leaves the dog, comes in here and catches Bryan in the act. And I think the startling aspect of it, I think maybe the reason I think I understand that Kaylee got quite the brunt of an attack more than some of the others, or maybe that was Xana, but I do believe it. She got it pretty good, and could have been because of that. She's coming in, kind of startles him a little bit, and he does what he does. So now he's got two victims at this point, and then what's that?
Sorry, you're gonna hear music in a sec because Miss Dog Lover just did a super chat.
Oh, okay.
So if you hear
Thank you, Miss Dog Lover.
Awesome.
Yeah, those sliding doors are not secure. I had nightmares and panic attacks about our security at the university. I bet, especially when you're a female, And
I think, I have sliding glass door in the back of the house myself, and we've got a wooden rod, looks like a little baseball bat that basically wedges itself and I think about that when I lock the door and put that there. It's like, hope that's enough. And it makes me think about this case, of course.
Yeah.
All right. So Bryan has got 2 victims now. Now he's going downstairs. Heads around this way, goes down the stairs. This is Dylan's room. Dylan's in there. I'm wondering, sometimes I wonder if and maybe we could find out, but if the roommates that, nothing happened to, if they have noise canceling headphones or something, it makes you wonder if, that's a side note. So he comes down the stairs. As he's coming down these stairs, you'll see there's that little step there. I imagine him possibly tripping on that as he went down, towards the living room and then on to Xana's room. And I believe he probably went down this way. I don't know if he maybe could hear her on TikTok. So let's go into the living room. So he's come from this way. He's possibly tripped on this little lip or little step there. Maybe hears her on TikTok. Now, at this point, as he rounds this corner and goes into Xana's room, in my head, I imagined, again, with the theme or theory that he only dealt with one victim at a time. I imagine, they've gotten the DoorDash. Maybe Ethan is in the bathroom. He's going to wash his hands before eating, or maybe he's got to, they were at a party. Maybe he's got to take care of business or something. I have always pictured him in the bathroom, Xana in the bedroom on TikTok. Bryan kind of comes down this hallway, and I picture her with her back turned on TikTok, and he just starts attacking her, and she ends up on the floor right there where that red circle is. Let me go inside the room. What I picture happening next, now they got the door closed, unfortunately, but she's laying there, and I picture Bryan maybe kind of here towards the closet. Oh, you can't see my mouse too. That's helpful. I didn't realize that.
You can see your mouse.
We can see it.
Yeah. I'm watching out of my corner of my eye, so the YouTube stream. So I picture Bryan is here. He's just stabbed or has just done what he's done to Xana, and she's laying on the floor. Ethan comes out of the bathroom and can only see Xana on the floor, doesn't know what the heck has happened, just that she's laying there and it doesn't look good. So he says, just like it says in the affidavit, that, it's okay, I'm going to help you. And he comes in, and I picture him kneeling down to help her, see if she's okay. And Bryan is like towering over him and just comes down upon him. They fight a bit. It ends up with Ethan over here on the bed. And now Bryan is up to 4 victims. And at this point, then Bryan wants to leave. Now, what time would this, be? How long? I mean, if you're thinking like, because in my head I was like, if it's like roughly a minute or so per victim, 2 minutes per victim, does that add up to the time frame needed? I don't know. I haven't thought it through that much with the exact time, but so anyway, he goes out of the room now. Now he's heading back this way through the living room, and this good vibes light is I imagine kind of bright, especially at night. That's in his face. I think the combination between that bright light in his face and then this little step that maybe he tripped on, and he's going to make sure that he doesn't trip on it again. So he's looking down, and then he walks there. This door, Dylan's door, you can see on the left, opens the way it opens there. So it's possible to have it open a crack. Maybe he didn't see her there. And then he rounds the corner, goes back through the kitchen, and then back out through the sliding glass door.
Okay. Yeah, and then basically gets into his car and takes off. And
yeah, I mean, I always pictured the car being parked in the back, but I think doesn't it say that he did all those 3-point turns, and then it almost, is it implying that he parked in the front by the blue house? Or it's
confusing because I as well always thought that he parked in the back. But if you do read in the affidavit, I mean, what it says is that he attempted he attempted to park, and then he turned. He did a 3-point turn, and then the car was seen going down Queen Road And then the next time it was seen was leaving the area at 4:20 a.m. So you would think if he did go back by in front of the house and parked in the back, they would have stated that.
I thought it was parked on the side. On like
yeah. So I mean, but if you park on Queen Road, there is a walkway that goes through where you could get to the backyard just as easily.
Right? Didn't the body cam of when they were there for a noise complaint, when they came to talk to them on the back by the sliding glass,
Yeah.
they walked up that, right? The
I
little
believe
path
so.
that goes along the side.
Okay. And so now I'll ask you one more question and then we'll move on to the next virtual tour. And then, so what do you believe, Jeff? And thank you for going through your virtual. What do you believe, Jeff, was the reason that Bryan Kohberger returned the next morning at like, was it 9:25 or something like that?
Between 9:12 and 9:21 or something like that, or 9:25.
I think that's just, I mean, he's probably still got that adrenaline rush or whatever he was experiencing, and just wanted to see, and just couldn't resist going back to take a look. I don't know necessarily that he was going back to, I mean, to the thought of going back into the house to get that knife sheath back is I just don't know that, after that much time. Now granted, I'm sure it probably confused the heck out of him when he came there, if he saw and he's like, there's no police. I just left 4 people in that house and there's no police anywhere. This doesn't make any sense. And who knows, maybe at that point, maybe he did consider like just run in there, get that knife sheath and get the heck out.
Yeah. Okay. So Adam, did you want to go next with your thoughts on it?
I'm going to let you go first because I'm going to run and use the restroom really quick.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Okay. So you guys, hey, Chaotic Beauty. And hey, you guys. As I'm getting ready to do mine, you guys, just in chat there, do you guys put a 1 if you think that Bryan Kohberger returned back that morning because he was looking around if he dropped the sheath on the ground or if he could find it or to go back in, or do you think he was going back, number 2, to admire his work? So
yeah, I see what Ray said. I think maybe going back to admire the work he had done.
Like that's something I think that Alexis kind of goes with too, is more of the admiration of his work. I've always felt it was more about the sheath, but that's just my guess because I just thought that once he noticed that it was missing, that perhaps like that's why. So most people are thinking number 2, which was admire the work on there. Okay, now let me bring up stop screen here and let me go up to share screen and we'll go to the virtual tour here. 1 and 2.
If you think too about his fascination with the research project he had with those questions, I mean, he's fascinated with the mind of a killer or a criminal, and wants to experience what they experience. And yeah, I think going back to admire his handiwork.
I mean, right. I mean, it's one of those things, right? I guess, like Alexa's a profiler. And I just kind of go with my gut. My gut says sheath, but that doesn't mean I'm right. Alexa, like I said, has done this stuff for a living. So, she's a body language expert, a handwriting expert, plus a profiler by the same token. So, obviously there's experience there about these things, whereas mine's just simply gut feeling what I felt.
Yeah. Here's an interesting thing I've never thought of before until just now, as I'm thinking about it with what CJ said, looking to see if there's no news on TV, and he was curious. I mean, what if he, when he came back that morning, if he didn't know Dylan was in there and he didn't know Bethany was in there and he didn't see any news, he didn't see any police, I mean, wouldn't he have thought at that point, it's like, okay, the only 4 people that were in that house surely are gone. Maybe I could like run in there and get that knife sheath. It's got to be in there because
right.
Or maybe he just, a part of me wondered too if he just didn't drive by and check. It's like I must have dropped it as I was running out of the house. It's got to be
right.
somewhere between the path that I took to the car.
I just in your head, right? I mean, I'll just bring us here for a second. In your head, you're like, okay, just a normal thinker. What freaking idiot that just committed a crime would return back to the scene of the crime? You're thinking kind of, right? A logical thinker, not somebody that's going through freaking any sort of issues in their head. But you're like, okay, dude, like, why would you return back to the scene of the crime knowing, unless you're going to look for the sheath that you dropped? We do know that they say that a lot of people try to insert themselves into cases, like if they've done arson and then they're like, oh, what's going on here? When really they're just trying to figure out what's being said and whatever. My gut was always just telling me that he was trying to, he really knew that he had lost that sheath, and that he was probably, I feel like he was contemplating whether or not he was going to go back in, probably chickened out. Because now you're broad daylight versus like the evening time. And he probably, had no clue that there was going to be, he probably thought he wiped it all down and whatever. Because again, if you're getting prepared to freaking do a crime and then there's like touch DNA on there from before, tells me that you obviously, like, somebody didn't wipe down that knife good enough, did they? But anyways, not that he would know that there was some touch DNA, familial DNA or whatever that would attach to a certain group of people, which, to his family, like the Kohberger line, in a sense. I don't know. I always get, there's certain things that I get, tossed and turned on, because it's like both of them make sense. Like they both make sense. Yeah. So, I mean, one day we'll find out, guys. I'm pretty sure, I hope one day, hopefully we'll get to see that information properly. And, I one of the biggest things that I would really like to understand, and we'll get into this after the fact, I would just really like to understand that if these students were informed well prior to the police being informed, what were they trying to conceal or hide? What was happening? What were they doing that took that long? Because that's ridiculous. If people are finding out at 9:30, 10 o'clock, which I believe to be absolutely true, because I believe Dave, absolutely. And I know Kim said her daughter did. I would say that the more one that I can say for sure would be Dave, because, I know Kim has said it, but that came through third party versus Dave saying it, because he said his phone was blowing up. But anyways, so what happened between those couple of hours until it took for them to call the police? Something's amiss in that whole time frame there. Anyways,
I mean, the thought is like it's not possible that everybody thought somebody else has already called. Like, I know when I see an accident or something, and I look around, I see people on phones that are involved in the accident. It's like, okay, I don't need to bother 911. Clearly, one of those people have called. I mean, I don't imagine that's possible. And I don't think, it's not like, are they everybody around there? Are they like, I can't call the police. I've got priors, I've like, I don't want to be connected to anything calling the police at any time,
Well, I think that there's certain, probably, I don't know. It's hard. I live in Canada, first of all. I don't know nothing about the whole frat Pi life or anything like that. Sigma Chi, all that Chi stuff. I don't know anything about how, like, when you're listening to Dave talk and stuff like that, like how he says, like, this say sorority doesn't hang with that sorority, because that's not what they do. They only hang with certain ones. And like I said, I don't know anything about that. I didn't grow up in the school system out there. So to me, like, I know Adam did, and Adam went to a sorority. But let's go back to the tour guys. Go ahead, say that, Adam.
Fraternity, not sorority.
Fraternity. See, there you go. A sorority is females, fraternity is males. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I was just guessing there. I was kind of going, okay, because I remember both words being said. But let's go back to the virtual, guys. And then after that's all over, then we'll go to town on thoughts from chat and thoughts from us. And then, and then we'll hit it. But so I'll do the next one because we'll pretend like Adam's still not here. No. Okay. So I'll just do this. I guess I got to leave. I was about to mute myself, Adam. Silly as that sounds. Okay. So let me go to the virtual tour. So, does it show right here? Okay. So I always felt like his car. Oh, I've never looked at the pictures outside. What does this one say? This is the rear property. So there was a footprint. Remember, you guys, number 3 evidence was right here. There was that footprint right here. I never looked at these ones before. I didn't even know they existed. What does this one say? Okay, that's just showing the back area. Just giving you guys a little bird's eye view as well. Okay, that's obviously after the fact. All right, but let's look at this one. Drone photos. Oh, property. Here's some drone photos for you guys. Drag to look around. Okay, well, I don't think it means this. No dragon there. Anyways, so I always thought he was parked right about here. That's where I always took him to be parked, and that hence why a footprint was here, and there was one in front of whatchamacallit's room. But anyways, we can get back to that. I got to go back to the kitchen. Where's my kitchen? Right there. Wing. Okay, so I think it's around 406. I'm going to give 405, 406 area that he enters through that sliding door. And hold on. Oh, there we go. Heave ho. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Hey, I don't normally suck at this. What's your problem? I'm clicking on you. Let's go. Come on. I think I'm at a wall. Yeah. Okay. Come on. What the heck? Obviously, someone hasn't been playing with this for a while. Okay. How come I'm not going up, Jeff?
Yeah,
Jeff,
click up in that area there. There you go. There you go.
Okay. There.
Yeah, when that text appears, you're definitely on it.
Okay. So one of the things that's said is that Dylan hears what she thinks is Kaylee playing around with the dog at 4 a.m. So this is, of course, Kaylee's room here, which I guess it even had Kaylee's room. That's where I was dense earlier. So Kaylee is probably in here playing with her dog. And then she hears, and then I think that she went over, shut her door, whatever, went over to Maddie's room. Sorry, guys. You guys, I don't know why I'm being so bad at this. Normally, I'm pretty good at this. Okay. So there is the bathroom in here. And I think she says to Maddie that she hears something. Because so 4 o'clock, right? Now picture this. Mind you, she's saying approximately 4. Well, approximately is approximately. So Kaylee's probably playing with her dog, but approximately 4 could be 4:05, right? And then she's playing with her dog. She might have heard something, goes over to Kaylee and says, I think that there's someone in the house. And I think Dylan opens up the door to say that that's what she thought she heard being said, that someone's in the house. So I believe that, yeah, like both were, obviously killed in this room. And I think like you a little bit there, Jeff, that I think that Zaina might have been sleeping and that Kaylee was still awake or whatever. And that she obviously comes into her room here. For the longest time, I had it in my head that both of them were passed out. But when you think about it, if she hears Kaylee playing with the dog, which is probably true, perhaps, probably, and then she goes over and she hears, like, I think there's somebody in the house. And then I think that during the struggle of both of them, like that basically when he got up here, there's both of them here. And that during the struggle, he loses the sheath, what happens to be near to the right side, like so Maddie would have been here and Kaylee would have been here in the room. It's just kind of how I envision it. Does not mean it's right. It's just how when you're reading an affidavit, you kind of have like a visual of what happened in your head. And that's kind of like what we're doing.
Right.
So, oh my goodness. I always keep thinking that it's just one landing, but it's 2. So yeah, like, don't forget 4 o'clock, Jack in the Box comes, whatever. Right. So, and that's approximately again, around 4 o'clock. We know that the Jack in the Box is like in the kitchen here, like over in this section right here. That's where the Jack in the Box is. And as well, kind of like you said, Jeff, there was like 2 stools that were like in the photos of the crime scene that were like placed over here somewhere, like on their sides. Those 2 stools are nicely, because this is a virtual tour. But anyway, so that was kind of weird, like you said. But the Jack in the Box is over here. So Mr. DoorDash driver comes at, say, around 4 o'clock. Zaina gets her Jack in the Box, whatever, gets plates, who knows, whatever she does. Either way, the Jack in the Box, ends up in the kitchen over there. So I've always had it in my head that, now if this is Dylan's room here and he's walking here, I always had it in my head that at some point here, he sees Zaina. Like either Zaina's coming back into the kitchen for something or whatever. And as he's coming down the stairs, I think he sees like Zaina. And I always feel like it was to Zaina he said, like, it's okay, I'm here, like, I'm here to help you. I always felt like Zaina kind of backbooted it to her room. Where am I, you guys? Okay, so you said the bathroom here. I've never pictured Ethan in the bathroom. I think the first time we ever heard anything about this, it was always said that it was Ethan that was on the floor. And then when the affidavit came out, it was actually Zaina that was actually on the floor in front of the door. Whereas at the start of it, we heard it was Ethan, and that's where, people kind of talk about both. But let's just go by the affidavit. Right. So the affidavit, puts Zaina on the floor here. Well, I guess we'll go here. Okay, get in there. Okay, so I see Zaina on the floor basically here. Ethan might be sleeping and is kind of like, like said, Bryan Kohberger says to Zaina, it's okay, I'm here to help you. Whatever, turns around, does his work, whatever. And then I think that Ethan is in the bed, like basically probably, I don't even know if he's sleeping or not. If he's sleeping, he's kind of out of it, but he wakes up, and then Bryan Kohberger goes and attacks him. And I always think that the thud in my head, I always feel like the thud is because that Ethan was up on his feet, and then he pushed Bryan Kohberger, or he pushed Ethan. Bryan Kohberger pushed Ethan back onto the bed. And this is just one of those futon beds. So I feel like it was the bed that actually made the thud more than I do a body, but I could totally be wrong, right? Because bodies sound whatever too. But I always know what the sound of a bed feels like. Like, so say Ethan's butt hit the beginning, towards the beginning of the bed. That backside's going to come up and then go back down again, typically, depending on how he fell. But we do know that there's blood, dripping down outside of that wall, which is blood that's outside of that wall on the outside of the house. So for me, Ethan was always like, at some point, whether he stood up and got pushed back on the bed, but that he was on the bed. Zaina was in the room here. Let me come back out of here again. Oh, I'm in the closet. I'm just coming out of the closet, Adam.
I support you.
Do you support me? How do I get out of this room? Open the door, for Pete's sakes. Okay, so I feel like still that Zaina and Ethan were not, I don't feel like they were targets, okay? I really still don't to this day feel like they were the targets. I feel like Maddie or Kaylee was, and kind of like what we talked about the other day, Adam, about the fact that Kaylee lived in the house. Bryan had been there multiple times, stalking that place or whatever through the phone data. And that, right, it was like Kaylee's last chance, or his last chance that he could get at Kaylee, which was his primary target in the first place. Although I do understand that, the Mad Greek thing makes sense as well. And Maddie, looking at the grub truck footage, Maddie obviously has an FU voice on her, as she's saying that to some guy there that day. So I always take it as Maddie being the more vocal one over Kaylee for sure. So I can see both things. But anyways, so let's say, so Bryan comes back out here. And I believe like that one video put out, and I can't think of what it's called now, but it's where that guy tried to explain why there was such a time frame for Dylan was, according to that guy, which I believe more myself, is that Bryan Kohberger was coming out, like you said, the good vibes lights lit up, but he could be very well much looking down at that little step, because those are those little trick steps that get you, for stumbling on them or whatever. I think that Dylan saw him, but I don't know so much that he saw her. And I think that originally his target was upstairs, and then still that Zaina and Ethan were collateral damage, in a sense, like that wrong place, wrong time. I think it would have been more just maybe one of those two girls and then back out. But then he happened to see Zaina, and that's what created those two, because it just doesn't make sense why the other two were still alive and blah, 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 blah. But I feel like that what that guy said on that video, and when I say that, you guys, what I'm referring to is, and I can't think, it was called like Predator something. Basically, the bottom line is through Dylan's best friend. So Dylan's best friend's boyfriend, supposedly he put out a video. I think the name's Predator Prey or something like that, the channel. And he put out a video to explain for Dylan, in a sense, through his girlfriend, which is Dylan's best friend, that basically, yeah, she heard these noises, but nobody's in the house thinking that there's freaking someone ready to take the lives of people. And that she probably, like he said, like she normally does, she looks out, sees what she believes is just someone leaving the house, because obviously it's dark. She's probably not even thinking that somebody with a knife is just in the house, but she's hearing noise and just think it's a visitor. And then basically Kohberger passes her, and she goes back into her room and closes the door and goes back to sleep. Sorry, locks the door like she normally does, he said. Which, okay, right? Because again, you're not thinking. It's no different than Abby and Libby. When you're thinking about Abby and Libby on the 12th, you don't think you're looking for two victims that have been, homicides. You just think you're looking for two missing girls, but something's not right. So I do believe that the whole reason, and according to that boyfriend guy, said that that the police misconstrued some of what she had said in a different manner, like this shocked phase and stuff like that. It was more that he passed. She thought it was just someone leaving. She basically closed her door, went back to sleep. But that still, again, in the morning time, obviously doesn't explain to me what happened, like why it took so long for them to call the police. But that's a whole different subject. So I think that she, yes, saw him, didn't think much about it besides like, yeah, I think it was Dylan. If you guys, am I right when it's Dylan? Not Dylan, that it was Bethany that yelled upstairs, like, shut the F up. Right? Because there was so much noise. Like after being in Zena's room, I think it was Bethany that yelled up the stairs to be like, shut the F up.
That's been reported. I mean, it's not in any of the documentation, right. I don't think, but it's been reported.
Yeah. So anyways, you guys we're talking about let's just say probably a 9 to 12 minute window here that Kohberger comes in and does all of this. And because, right. So at 9:20 basically is when it ends. Pardon?
4:20.
What did I say? 9:20?
You said 9:20.
Yeah, I meant to say 4:20, guys. Yeah, okay. How do you forget that one, right? Go smoke a blaze, right? But anyway, so yes, at 4:20. So we're looking at, you guys, regardless, about 4:06, to that 4:20 area. But by that point, his car's been seen. So then you have to knock down, an extra minute there, perhaps, or whatever. So, so it's sometime within this, I don't know. I want to say more like a 10 to 15, 13 minute window type of idea. So that's how I see it. And then he leaves and goes back out to the left, leaves his footprint there, goes back to his vehicle. And that's pretty much how I've always kind of just pictured it, without changing it up. That's kind of what I always thought from the beginning. The only thing that I changed up a bit was perhaps Dylan because of the fact of when I was looking for Dylan's story to make sense. And the only time it made sense to me was when that Predator guy come out with that video saying, no, look, this didn't, like, that's not what happened. Like, Dylan wasn't freaking hiding for all these hours. So his thing made sense to me. So that's why with that, I do believe that she did close her door, lock it, and go back to bed, not realizing what all just occurred. You know?
Hey, Sonny.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what you were saying about, you know, you said maybe Bethany said, you know, would you guys just all, you know, shut the hell up? You know, that if that is what happened, and that is, you know, the feeling, if that's what Dylan heard, you know, also heard, you know, maybe both of them were, maybe this was a common thing around the house where they were just making too much noise too late at night, and this was just another instance of that. And
right.
but if Dylan heard Bethany say that, obviously then Dylan is probably on that bus, and she's like, yes, I'm upset too. It's 4 a.m. What the heck? And
right.
I, you know, so I'm going to bed. Now it still seems like that's a long time though before discovering anything. I mean, so Dylan's got to go to the bathroom at some point. She's going to go and see Xana, right? I mean, that's the bathroom she would use, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it really, because we're talking about 4 something in the morning, and apparently texts were going out around 8:30, 9 o'clock area. You know, about, you know, between the people. And I know for me personally, if I've been drinking, I actually wake up earlier whenever I'm drinking. That's just a thing for me, whereas maybe some people pass out, but I don't usually sleep very long if I've been drinking, not because I have to go to the bathroom, just because my time clock when I was drinking was set to be shorter for some reason. I mean, if you take away the fact that you weren't expecting in somebody to be committing homicides in there, I mean, this is a house that's full of, you know, people coming and going and whatever. They probably didn't think nothing about it, to be honest with you. I feel like they didn't think anything about it. Like, hey, shut the hell up there. But most people are going to be under the impression, well, how did they not hear someone screaming or this or that or this? We won't. I mean, hopefully one day we'll know the truth. But
I like your theory. The theory of Bryan coming down, seeing Xana, and saying, it's okay, I'm going to help you with the food, maybe, or, you know, something to like not make her, you know, he would want to say anything to keep her from just screaming, because if she screams and anybody else hears it in the neighborhood or anybody else in the house, I could see that.
Well, I just see that as more of, like you're saying, like, hey, don't worry about it, I'm just here to help you, you know, because she's obviously, I feel like she's startled by seeing this person coming downstairs. She probably seen that he was all freaking bloody or something, like, you know, because of the good vibes, like she perhaps did see like more of whatever. I just feel like she saw it. That's when that was said, perhaps, that she went back to the room, you know, and that Bethany's probably hearing like this loud thud, probably a lot of noise. If Dylan's sleeping, and you know how it is if you've been drinking and you're sleeping, you know, like you're going to kind of wake up going, what the fuck is going on? Like, what, you know?
Right.
And she was like, you know, and I just see it as like, that's what I would say, like, shut the hell up, you know? So I don't know that anything felt amiss, because it was a house that multiple people lived in, and, you know, people come and go.
And so she would have been on the TikTok before.
She was on TikTok at 4:12.
DoorDash. 4:12 a.m.
Well, that's, I mean, like I told you, if he came in about 4:06, went upstairs, you know, that's going to take a few minutes at least, right, to do both people up there. So 4:12 is when her last presence is on. So whether or not she still had that phone on, like, do you think, like, I don't know. So, like, Adam, what are you thinking about the TikTok thing? Because 4:12 is when it says that she was logged in. So it was basically likely that she was on TikTok. But you know how it is. I go on TikTok and I leave it still logged in, even if I'm not playing with it at that second or whatever.
Right.
So meaning, if it's, are they only telling us about 4:12, but yet she still could have been logged in that app at 4:30, but 4:12 falls within the timeline, so that's why they only gave that particular time. Because, like, why are they saying 4:12 exactly?
I wonder if that's the time she logged in, or if she uploaded something at 4:12.
Well, maybe
So
that
she
was
could
it.
have uploaded something, but logged in much, earlier.
Here's what I mean. I'll go in. I guess
Do you want to do yours?
Well, yeah, I can do mine. I will say really quickly about the TikTok thing. I believe that 4:12. The reason they used that in the affidavit, I believe that is the time that she logged out. That she clicked her phone off probably from TikTok.
That's what I'm thinking more. So
And I'll tell you why
sense.
I go over my timeline. But
Okay.
I believe that's the reason they used 4:12, because that's when she exited TikTok.
Okay. So we'll start with you, Adam, then. So what time do you think that Bryan comes in? Do you think he comes in through this back sliding door, first of all?
I do. I think, okay, so I'm going to start with, we know that Bryan's first seen on camera at 3:29 a.m. Yeah. I think he makes his first, drive by the house. I think he sees lights still on in the house. Right. And I think that he then drives by two more times in the next 30 minutes, still seeing lights on in the house. He makes his final approach to the house at 4:04 is when he's seen on camera. I believe at that point, lights are, for the most part, off in the house. I don't know if maybe there was a light on in Xana's room, I'm thinking maybe, or she was in the bathroom. But I believe, so he had 30 minutes, in my mind, he had 30 minutes to, one, he was worked up to commit this crime when he got there at 3:29. Then he had 30 more minutes to build himself up even more. So I'm going to say he parked. I'm going to even push it to 4:07. He parks, he gets his knife, he gets his stuff together. So whether it's sometime between 4:05, 4:06, or 4:07,
yeah.
I believe he entered through the back door.
Okay.
I believe he went directly up the stairs.
Right.
I don't know if he looked in Kaylee's room. I don't believe Kaylee was in her room. I believe that at this point, I'm going to say it's 4:07 a.m., 4:08. I think that Kaylee and Maddie were asleep in Maddie's bed. I think Ethan was asleep downstairs. I think that Xana was awake, eating her food on TikTok, either in the bathroom or in the bedroom, maybe with headphones on.
Well, okay. Well, one second. So we're up here in this.
Yeah. So I think that Bryan went upstairs. I think he went he might have looked in Kaylee's room, saw that she wasn't in there. I believe he then walked into Maddie's room. I don't believe anyone is aware he's there at that point. I believe that he approached, because he would have had to climb on the bed to get to Kaylee, because I believe Kaylee was sleeping against the wall.
Oh, but they tell you that Maddie was, though.
Maddie was against the wall?
Yes, Maddie was against the wall. They say that that Maddie was, the sheath was under Maddie on her right side, they said. And right. So they're saying that Maddie was here. And
so I believe that he attacked Maddie first.
Same.
And I think the girls were both asleep when he attacked Maddie.
Okay.
I believe at this point, what Dylan thinks she's hearing Kaylee playing with the dog upstairs is actually the attack happening upstairs. Okay. I think Kaylee probably wakes up during it. I think Maddie was killed first. I think he then killed Kaylee. And I think that's what Dylan was hearing when she said she heard Kaylee playing with the dog. I think that she was awoken by this, and I think she just heard commotion and she heard probably thumping, and she took it as the dog, but I think it was actually her friends being unalived upstairs.
Who do you think said there's somebody here?
I believe at this point, I believe Xana, while she's on TikTok and eating her food or whatever, I think Ethan was asleep in the bed.
Hear it upstairs.
I think that what the person that said there's someone here was actually Xana. I think it was Xana becoming aware that someone's in the house. And I think Xana either left the bathroom or her bedroom at that point. Probably the bedroom, because I believe she might have been in the bedroom. And I think she could have had headphones on because Ethan is asleep in the bed. And so I believe that as Bryan was coming down the stairs, I think that when he tripped, I think he left that footprint outside of Dylan's bedroom door in blood. And I believe that Xana came out of the bedroom, and I believe that Bryan and Xana came face to face unintentionally, which is what caused him to commit the crime that he did. And this is where it's my 100% speculation. I believe that Xana said there's someone here. And that's when she closed off of TikTok and she walked out into the hall and saw him. And he saw her, he attacked her. I don't think that Xana died right then, because I believe at that point probably Ethan woke up and he attacked Ethan in the bed, killed Ethan. And Xana was still alive. And I believe Bryan, as Xana was in pain on the floor, said to her, "Don't worry, I'll help you." And then he came over and he finished her, which is what we're hearing in the 417 thud and whimper. And then the dog's barking because of her hitting the floor.
So let me ask you, just quickly. So the whole case, so let me just go back out of here for a sec. So the camera that we speak about is on the front of this house over here.
50 feet away from Xana's bedroom.
Exactly. And so Xana's room, of course, is right here. That's the front side. So going back into, obviously, the house, then, I mean, the dog is in this section here and so it's said that, that
the dog's basically above.
Yeah. The dog's in this room here, in Kaylee's room. And then the thud, probably came from this section here. Right. So why do you think that? Do you think what do you think made the dog start barking then?
Well, we know that we know from what we've heard is that Xana put up a fight. So I believe that because she was the only one of the four, in my opinion, that was fully conscious when their attack started. And so she was able to fight more, and which is why I also don't think she succumbed to her injuries right away, because I think Ethan probably woke up in the midst of that and he had to address Ethan because of Ethan being a male and having an adequate size. I think Ethan died in the bed. I don't think Ethan was able to fight as much as he probably wanted to, but I think Ethan probably got a pretty brutal attack. And I believe then, like I said, I don't think Xana was dead. I think that when he says, "Don't worry, I'm going to help you," was him going back to finish Xana off. And then I think when he left, I think he, like you said, the good vibe sign either, could have been a light in his eyes. The other thing I always thought was, at this point, he realizes he's been in that house. He probably has no idea how long he's been in that house.
Probably
but
not.
He now has in my opinion, has now ran into Xana in the hallway. And now even if he saw Dylan, he's been in that house so long, he doesn't know if Dylan's called 911. He doesn't know if police are 2 seconds from showing up at that house. So whether he saw her or not is irrelevant to me. I think he walked directly by her, either because he didn't see her or because he was, one, exhausted from just unaliving 4 people, right, or 2, out of fear of the fact that he doesn't know that she didn't call 911 10 minutes ago or, 8 minutes ago. I think he then left out the sliding glass door, leaving the door open, and then did his little drive around, whatever. I think when he came back to the house the next morning, I personally think it was just to, I think he expected to see police and everyone there. I don't believe he ever was going to go back into the house to get the sheath. Mm-hmm. The most I'll go down that road is that maybe he thought, if I dropped it somewhere near where I parked, I'll just see if it's around the area. Because I think he would have assumed police were going to be there by 9 a.m. the next morning.
Right.
After that, I think we know he went and got coffee. And then he went grocery shopping.
Yeah.
Which, those are surveillance tapes I would like to see.
Yeah, no kidding, right? So let me go back to this part here.
Yeah.
Bethany's room is right underneath of Zena's and where Ethan are.
No, that was the empty bedroom. Bethany's bedroom is underneath the living room.
Hold on.
That was what we all thought was Dylan's room right there. But that was the empty room that had the golf clubs in it. Remember, I always called it the shit bedroom because I'm like, that would be the one no one would want because it has the utility box on the wall and no closet.
Great. Which room am I in now?
Yeah, so Bethany was right under Dylan.
So,
yeah, well, she was under the living room because she was in the front of the house. And remember the way that house was built? It was almost like a 2-story house in the front and then a 2-story house in the back.
Right.
Great.
So you're in Bethany's room now.
Because the one with the utility box is the one
that was empty.
That was the empty one with the golf clubs.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, like if it's like a big thud that a camera can pick up, that's 50 feet away. Like, do you think that she woke up and was like shut the fuck up with the noise?
I mean, I think she probably heard stuff. You were both saying. I don't think it would be. I mean, we all went to college. I mean, we've all lived in situations like college, whether we went to college or not. I mean, I don't think you would have thought noises that were loud at 4 a.m. were necessarily uncommon in that environment. Even if they were shrieks or shrills, I mean, I know that's hard to comprehend for some people, but I mean, you live in a house with 5 people, you're going to hear, especially in college, when people are drinking late at night, you're going to hear all sorts of stuff. People coming and going aren't going to be odd.
Yeah.
But
okay. We'll come back out of here as well.
Yeah. But that's, I could probably go deeper into it, but that's how I've always envisioned it happened. And if you read, I will also say, when Bryan Kohberger got arraigned, I believe that the counts that they put the murders in were not random. I believe that they put the counts in the order that they were committed. And if you count 1 was Maddie, count 2 was Kaylee, count 3 was Ethan, and count 4 was Xana.
Okay, so you believe that Ethan was taken out before Xana?
I believe that Xana was attacked before Ethan, but I believe that Ethan was killed and then Xana was killed.
Yeah, the theory of Xana being in the bathroom on TikTok is interesting. I can see that.
Or in the bedroom, because I mean, if he's asleep, she might be eating her Jack in the Box on TikTok, like we all do. I do that kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Sit there and eat while I'm looking at TikTok, and then you hear something. You're like, well, what's going on upstairs? Oh, there's someone's here, and you walk out into the hall to see what's going on, and boom, Bryan has come down the stairs after unaliving the 2 girls upstairs.
The DoorDash, it says the DoorDash comes at like
approximately 4 a.m.
And then we know that there's the Jack in the Box in the window. And I'm not going to get all whatever. The Jack in the Box on the window is probably the Jack in the Box from that day.
Her name's on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Could be the day before. You never know.
It's true, but we know. But I think Jack in the Box employees have even said it came from there that night. They stopped delivering. They stopped taking orders at 2 a.m. But it was at 2 a.m. And they said it was not uncommon on Saturday night for it to take an hour and a half for something to be delivered.
Yeah, that's crazy, eh? It's crazy.
Small college town.
Yeah. I know it's so crazy, the whole timing of that. Not to think that there's this big conspiracy behind it, because I'm not gonna lie. So there's, like I said, we were talking about this earlier. There's this channel. I think his name is like Crime Under the Hill or Crime in the Hill or something like that. So, and I've never watched JLR's one, but so JLR was apparently said that Emma Bailey was like a DoorDash driver or something like that. And then this guy, whatever his name is, can't think of his name, sorry. And so he went into the Jack in the Box to try to talk to that guy. And I can't remember if his name was Nick or something like that. Can't remember. I just watched it the other day, but you guys, I watched too many videos in a sense. I just did like a whole season of freaking Little People Big World last night and today. So anyways, all these names are sticking in my head here. But anyways, so he had gone there and previously, and then they basically said, like the manager and a couple other people had said no, because remember, like they're showing this picture of the guy that was the delivery driver, which is kind of like,
It was a female.
What?
I thought the DoorDash driver was a female.
No, it was a male. Yeah.
I think two things that makes me think it's a male is I think the affidavit said he, maybe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But if you believe that guy, and I think his channel is called Thou Shalt Not Kill True Crime.
That's what it is.
He interviewed some employees at the Jack in the Box, and they pulled up a picture of a kind of a slightly heavy set guy, right, on their phone. It was a picture. He snapped a picture of it, and they said this was right. And then they kind of roasted him a little bit because they were saying, this guy was known to deliver stuff, but then go back and pick it up and eat it, and then
right. But he got. Yeah.
But I mean, who knows? Maybe they were given this.
I heard it was a female.
Well, it depends because JLR, like I recall, like you, Jeff, in the affidavit, I feel like I remember the word he. I remember the word.
Look, I have it up.
Yeah, like he came forward, or something like that.
So anyways,
this is the exception of Chronology, who received a DoorDash order at the residence at approximately 4 a.m. Law enforcement identified the DoorDash delivery driver who reported this information. That's all it says in the affidavit.
That's what it says in the affidavit. I don't believe it was in the affidavit, but I think it was more in an article, if anything, at some point. Because I remember the word he, that the police have talked, whatever, but regardless. So whatever that name of the channel is that you just said, Thou Shalt Not, whatever it was, crime. So he was, so basically JLR goes there apparently. And he's told something about Emma, like he's talked to Emma's mom or something like that. And something about that, and this is where I guess a female came out as well about him saying that perhaps that Emma had been a DoorDash driver, but yet not to say that she was the DoorDash driver that night or whatever. And so
there was that rumor.
Pardon?
There was that rumor that she was a DoorDash driver. And I'm not.
No, and the thing is, you probably haven't seen these two videos that I have recently with that whole Thou Shalt guy. So the Thou Shalt guy goes and talks because he's thinking like, he wants to get the information himself. Now he ends up talking to a manager and a couple other employees because something doesn't seem right about, what was said to JLR or something. So it wasn't, so the people who were talking to JLR, it's almost like it believes that they were almost like messing with the dude, like JLR, that they were just messing around more so with him. But anyway, so he goes in and he talks to a manager and two other people. And so they had said, and then he showed a picture because he had a picture of the fat circle dude. And they said something about, that he was eating the food all the time, saying that something about not getting the orders or whatever, and then eating the food. But anyways, so now this is before they kind of get upset with this Thou Shalt Not guy, because he goes in there again and wants to talk with, the person, the Jack in the Box guy, whatever his name is, I think Nick or whatever his name was. And they tell him that he has a shift at 3:00 or whatever. Well, I think it was 3 or 4. Anyways, bottom line is that they obviously called the dude and said, look, there's some guy that's coming here that's trying to talk to you. So he ended up not coming in for his shift because you can tell that the Jack in the Box people that were kind of getting annoyed with that Thou Shalt Crime guy, because it's kind of, bottom line is this, okay? I don't give a shit. Unless you're coming in there with cameras and a freaking news crew, you're like, no one's going to take you seriously as a reporter. You're trying to claim that you're a YouTuber or whatever, but seriously, most people are going to be like, bug off. We know the true crime crap and and no one's going to be as willing to give you information unless you're like a freaking news outlet. Okay. That's just the
Right.
bottom line of it. There are people that talk, don't get me wrong, but no one's going to really overly take you seriously when you sit there and go, here's my YouTube proof that I'm a reporter, because I have a YouTube channel. Okay.
I'm wearing a press hat.
Yeah, exactly. So you could tell that they were like, you know what, when he went back in at the time that I want to say Nick was supposed to have shown up for his shift. Like I said, they obviously called him and said, look, there's this guy out here, like maybe best to stay home or not come in for your shift because this dude's there. So I do believe personally it's probably that dude, and that he didn't come in for a shift, definitely because they obviously warned him and said, look, this person's trying to keep asking for you. And they because when he went in that third time, they were basically like, look, can you get off the property? And then he did, but you could see, I personally, and no offense to this dude, but I personally feel like that I don't like, maybe the first time, but the second time he was kind of like going in there guns blazing, almost like, hey, I'm not going to take anything this time and I'm going to go in there. But let me put it this way. You're not going to catch bees with honey that way. You're going to, instead you're going to cup up some vinegar and attitude, which is what he got. Because again, unless you're a news crew that you're coming in there, most people kind of get freaked out by that stuff. Like, who are you, dude? Like, why are you coming in here? Keep asking for one of the employees and want to talk to them. They don't know who you are. You're not like got no freaking news crew behind you and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I would have done the same thing probably, but meaning sometimes softer and sweeter and a little bit more, hey, how's it going? But he kind of went in guns blazing the second time going, I'm going to get answers. And then he waited for the guy to show up for his shift and he didn't. And you just knew that was because they called him. So anyway, I'm going to go with the male. I'm going to go with the male on that one. I believe it because I remember seeing it where it said a he, that they had talked to him. And I remember seeing that, but that was like so long ago. I don't know where anymore, but I know it wasn't from the affidavit because the affidavits are pretty good at sometimes not saying if it's a he or she when they're not trying to give it away. So anyways,
definitely seems like it was a surprise to hear of even the idea of it being a female. So whatever planted it in, at least in my mind from the beginning for quite a while, I had always pictured a male.
Same.
I don't know what, I don't know if it's just assumption,
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day,
or people wanted to connect it to Emma Bailey.
Right. Because we definitely know there's channels out there, Jeff, that are just riding this case to ridiculous lengths. Okay. There's like, I'm not going to sit there and call out any channels, but I'm meaning
come on.
No, but there's certain channels, okay, that are literally writing it for what it's worth. And when I say that, I'm not trying to talk about the channels that truly are invested in the case, because just kind of like us with the Nicola Bully case, and the Delphi case, those are cases that we like to dive into and look for the answers. But I'm talking about some of these other channels that are like shit channels in a sense, and they're purposely. I'll just name initials for one. His channel's name is H and his HR. Okay. And he totally makes thumbnails. Yeah. He totally makes thumbnails. He's got this arrogant attitude beyond belief. He's totally riding the case for people. So meaning he knows, I can tell whenever a channel's doing something and that they're totally doing it with dollar signs in their head. And all they're doing is creating those clickbait type thumbnails. And then people, of course, are clicking on them. And then his arrogant ass starts talking. And I'm just like, oh, God. Like, that's why I don't even click on him anymore. Because I was just like, oh,
Sonny, you've really gotten into the meat and potatoes of it all now.
Why? Yeah. Yeah. Wait.
If you know, you know.
And so anyway,
that channel's like.
Yeah,
like
you're right.
Like Logan.
Right. The meat. You're right. You're right. The meat and potatoes. That's right. That's right. So for me, I mean, like I said, each channel can do whatever they want, but so when it comes to these people that are creating these absurd things, and they're just doing it to get the views and the clicks off of you guys, they're going to create this whole do you think Emma Bailey and this person did it? And they're going to keep creating that. And the people that fall for that crap, like, I don't believe Emma Bailey and the other person had anything to do with it personally. Okay. It's something to go down if it's information that comes out and whatever, that there's perhaps a connection, but they're going to ride it. They're going to milk it. They're going to soak it for everything because they know that that's where their meat and potatoes is. And that's what confuses people. And that's what pisses me off, is that you have the channels that truly want to talk about it, that truly want to bring you things that are fact, or at least things within this. But again, then there's other channels that ride off of it purely for the profit of the views and the clicks. They don't give two shits about the victims of the case. They're just doing it because they're about the money aspect, and they're going to create any sort of conspiracy theory that you want to hear, because they know that those are the people that go right to the channel and soak it up, and I mean, for me, it just drives me crazy because you're trying to stay within the senses of the case. And then these people come along warping people's mind with all this misinformation that they know that they're putting out there on purpose, and deliberately are doing it for the almighty dollar. That's what pisses me off. But they can do whatever they want. It's their channel.
When I think about like an Emma Bailey type or the Demetrius guy, I mean, I just imagine, they're up in that area. Were they students at all, or they just live up there?
No, well, I mean, they were past being students.
Yeah.
Oh no, well,
yeah,
I think she.
I don't know. When I think about like what would their motive be, or would they be likely to do something like that, versus a guy that's going to WSU that's kind of weird, studying,
right.
BTK. Yeah. It's like, okay. It's like, okay, who are you going to put your money on? That if it's one or the other. But now could it be a blend? I mean, I often wondered if, with Bryan's research project and the questions he was asking, if anybody actually came forward and started answering his questions. And then he was like, hey, you know a lot about crime. Are you done? Do you have any more crime in you? So do you like to go? I just want to kind of be a voyeur and observe, watch what you do. I don't know.
Jeff, just to ask you and Adam, to this date, do you guys believe that Papa Rogers has any sort of connection at all to this case? Like, okay, Adam.
Yeah, I don't know.
We remember that there was a post or whatever that was done after the fact when Bryan was arrested. I remember it. I don't actually have any proof in front of me.
I never saw it. I've heard that there was a post. I never,
right.
But
right.
I mean, the posts were uncanny in some of the layout of, the house, of the sheath. But, was there anything? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean,
it's interesting that picture looks very similar to him. I mean, it's an old picture. It's like an old painting or something by some.
Yeah. Well, it's an AI thing. It's an AI.
It's an AI. Yeah.
Oh, it's created by AI.
Yeah, that's what it looked. That's what it looks like to me. Because I've done I have a program that I did 100 pictures of myself in AI, and there were ones that looked kind of like that.
2 seconds. I'm here still.
Where it almost kind of makes you look like an oil painting or something.
Right. But I mean, it looks similar to to him, and that whole thing, that post about the knife sheath. I guess it was a little kind of either a premonition or a lucky guess or whatever it was.
I mean, I remember when this came out, I took very little interest in the whole Papa Burger thing. Adam had sent me all the stuff, and I believe him and Deb, were really going through that information. And it was information, personally, the way I took that person that was online, and I could be totally wrong, I just took it as somebody that is more of a critical thinker, that's kind of asking questions. So what do you think happened? Kind of giving his things. And I just felt like it was somebody that was literally just asking questions. But and how people are, they create profiles that kind of, I don't know. I didn't take it. So Adam and Deb were more diving deeper into this. Go ahead, Adam.
What it kind of what kind of targeted me into it, the first thing wasn't even the knife sheath, because I don't even think we knew about that yet when I first found out about Papa Rogers.
Right.
What drove me towards the connection was the things that Papa Rogers was posting that were almost word for word the things that were in the survey that Bryan Kohberger had put on Reddit. He was answering, the Papa Rogers person was, in theory, answering hypothetical answers to the questions that Bryan Kohberger had asked in his survey.
Mm-hmm.
But I have no proof of that. I mean, I think there was a lot more. I think there's a lot more validity to the Papa Roger connection than there is the inside looking connection that was on Reddit.
Then the which one? Sorry, then
the profile that was called Inside Looking.
Inside Looking Out, right? Yeah, same. I agree. Now, the thing that I do remember, as much as I don't know a ton about that, the thing that I do remember is that the sheath was brought up before we actually knew about the sheath.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that and the reason, so either the guy is very, very smart, or perhaps it was, but the only thing I remember was that, okay, this made sense, right? Because Jennifer Coffendaffer, she just posted up the similar, like we did this a long time ago, where Adam had put the things side by side.
Yeah, I think it was like January 7th or something.
Yeah, like the questions to the Papa Rogers thing, the survey to the questions.
Maybe
so we went over that a long time ago, but I noticed Jennifer Coffendaffer kind of posting the side by sides on her Twitter or whatever. But the thing that I always remember was that once it was kind of posted that there was a post after the fact of Bryan Kohberger in jail, it just kind of seemed to almost like fade away a bit. Like everyone's like, oh, is what it really felt like. And then I didn't hear about it as much, and I'm only hearing about it now because of the Dateline thing a lot more so. But it let me put it this way. It is very, if it's not anything to do with Bryan Kohberger whatsoever, it is something that is very eerie how the sheath is being talked about prior to the release of the sheath. And so anyone with a suspicious kind of eyebrow raised mind would be like going, dude, like, how would you have known about this sheath prior to it being released? But yet, perhaps because it was jaded and more someone that knows about knives. So there is kind of that eeriness about the Papa Rogers. Mm-hmm. I still think of Papa John's Pizza every time I say that name, by the way. Can't help it. But correct, Adam. I agree with you too on that about the outside looking in or whatever. But we do know that Bryan Kohberger is the visual snow account. That we do know.
That I believe.
Well, you guys, let's just ask in chat. 1, do you believe Papa Rogers is Bryan Kohberger? 2, if you don't. Simple as that.
Right. And I can even be my own devil's advocate. I'm sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
No, go ahead. After you.
I can even be my own devil's advocate as far as, they released the fact that they were looking for a K-bar knife type thing. That came out pretty early. Anyone that knows knives is going to know that a K-bar style military knife is going to need a knife sheath, or that it would be very likely you'd have a knife sheath with it. So, you could use, you could deduce that there would be a knife sheath involved, but to say that it was left at the scene, that's where I was like, how would he know that?
Yeah, that's along the lines of what I was going to say, almost exactly. But if the news reports were that they were the method, the means of how they died, did they say K-bar at that point? Or
they said it very early on.
Okay, so if they're saying K-bar and they don't have the knife, or it's believed they don't have the knife, then it almost anybody could speculate, especially somebody like if this Papa Roger guy was just some guy who's like, hey, I got this figured out. I know what happened. I got all the answers. I could see them saying like, hey, well, they say it was like a K-bar knife, but they didn't say they have the knife. It must be the sheath. They must have the sheath.
Well, and in my opinion, the way they would have known that it was, so the K-bar information came out before anything forensically would have come back. So, so they were talking about a K-bar knife in the first or second press conference, which they would not have had the forensic results back yet to know what type of weapon this happened from. So that's how I would think that if Papa Rogers is a fraud and not, or if he's just some guy on the internet, that's the way he would have deduced that it was the knife sheath, because how else would you know that it was a K-bar style knife without forensic results, unless they had a knife sheath that matched to a K-bar knife.
Right. And you'd have to check and see like how many other things was he right about? I mean, anybody can get one thing right and say, "Hey, I'm a psycho."
True.
I got it right.
Well, I think that combined with like the weird, like almost word for word part of the Bryan Kohberger Reddit survey with the Papa Roger post, that's what I think really tuned everyone into it.
Well, if it's true he came back like at 9 a.m. the next day, I mean, it would fall in line that he might be into doing the whole Papa Roger thing as well.
Well,
and it's been speculated that he has been zeroed in on the case, on everything about himself on TV, with the one channel on TV, that he's watched every bit of coverage about himself.
Wow.
Probably. I mean, yeah. I mean,
maybe he's watching this.
Well, I was going to ask you though. So, what do you think about what me and say Adam were talking about last time? I believe you were in the chat when we were talking about the fact of, Kaylee. Okay, so if Bryan is going around this house multiple times, right? Throughout, like, what is it? Is it 12 or 13? I always forget.
12 times.
Yeah. So let's say 12 times, right? So Kaylee moves out of the house a couple weeks prior, right? Now, Bryan's done all this work because that's the target, let's just say, is Kaylee. But because of social media, he knows that she's going to be at the house, type of thing. And that's his basically last chance, whether Ethan's there or not there. So one, that, Jeff, and two, I mean, social media, a true crime is all over Reddit and different things. Perhaps he bumped into her, perhaps on like maybe for the fun of it, she decided to answer that survey that came across and made a mockery of it in a sense, and he got pissed off or something and was like, because obviously you can see that he has this distaste for females, is what it seems like. He obviously has some sort of what I deem as anger issues towards the females versus the males. But what do you think of that, first of all, about the fact that Kaylee might have been the target because that was the last chance that he had before she left, and he knew she was going to be there. And obviously, to me, if you go upstairs, he's already scoped out this place. Whether he's been inside it is a whole different story. His Wi-Fi connected or touched or whatever, but regardless of the fact, he knows which room is Maddie's and Kaylee's and blah blah blah. So
I personally lean towards, now when we were all talking about Jack D and we thought it was Jack D, that made sense to me, that he knows when she's leaving, but after that, I really haven't gone back to that notion. I'm actually more of the notion that Bryan just drove around looking for a house and victims, and Maddie's window is like a widescreen TV drive-in movie theater. You park back there in the dark. You don't know what he has witnessed. He's probably witnessed so much that he's like, I know her routine. I know her schedule. He probably even knew if the DoorDash thing late at night was a routine.
Right. Well, Kaylee's too, because of the sliding glass door.
The what? What about the sliding glass door?
I mean, Kaylee's bedroom, if her light was on, would have been, with that sliding glass door, or not sliding, but it was a sliding glass door, and Kaylee's bedroom as well on the deck. If you're
both windows are
you could
visible
look into her well, just as easy. And we know that all but one of the times he'd been at the house prior to that were late at night or early in the morning. So at times when you could look into those windows.
Sonny, does that show on that the app you got up? Does that show that side of the house? I actually wasn't thinking about that. So Kaylee's window faces that way as well.
Yeah, she had the sliding glass door that's kind of at an angle. Which if you're parked on Queen Road or in the back, you could probably see into Kaylee's room as well.
Yeah, I'd have to bring up a different picture if you want to see the. Well, no, hold on. It did have the back side. It was in those pictures. Hold on. Tell me if this is what you're talking about. So over here, we kind of have. Let me see.
Can't really see it. Well, you can see one of the windows there.
Like, yeah, because it's like, this is Madison's room. This is.
Yeah. And then there's a room there. You can see Kaylee's window next to it. if you go further down. And then the doors at an angle.
Yeah, over here.
So the window on the bottom level is Dylan's room, right?
Yes.
Correct. What does this one show? Oh, that shows that.
So that's right. So Kaylee is like right above the kitchen.
Yeah.
In the bathroom.
Correct. Kaylee's is right above the kitchen. I'd have to go and pull one out.
Kaylee's.
Mm.
It's amazing how you get turned around when you go inside the house.
Right, because the bathroom's in that little window in the very top left corner is the bathroom window.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Well,
yeah.
To me, this is what makes it tough, Jeff and Adam, is that, okay, so recently we hear from this gentleman named Dave. And I believe that Dave was very truthful in what he was saying. And now Dave had lost a good friend, and his name was Caden Young, I want to say. So Caden Young, again, I think it was an OD, like bad drugs or whatever it was, like an OD. Anyways, he lost his best friend back in March. And so it's kind of like, so he had some information in a sense. And you know how sometimes, like I said, when people are going through something and that maybe it takes a death in order for them to revisit their own life and what they're doing and stuff like that. So it's, for me, what I took away from Dave was that he was having a very much of real life thrown into his face about this stuff that had happened to his friend, and this was his best friend, and that it kind of like was like a light bulb going off about, hey, and I think he wanted to kind of memorialize his friend, which talking about it, but kind of bring some things to light about things that were going on. And one of those things he was talking about as he was being asked questions was about Zaina, and that Zaina had sold coke from that home, the 1122 King. Do I believe that to be true? Absolutely. Like mother, like daughter, like father, like son. When you grow up in a something of that, and you know that, like what Dave was saying, like you might find 4 people that sell it in this house, 0 in this fraternity or this whatever. So that's where now people are starting to think, maybe this perhaps was about Zaina, and who knows what else people are thinking that. With Maddie, you have the Mad Greek vegan restaurant, and you have Maddie that has kind of like, you can tell, you guys, sorry, but she has a mouth on her. You can tell because of the way she spoke at the grub truck. You can tell the way that she F that guy off, that, okay, so Maddie's more of the, like F you, whereas I don't really see Kaylee being like that. I see Kaylee being more as the softer spoken person. And then you have Kaylee that, again, that that she was deeply into the true crime herself. So then you have Bryan Kohberger, this, whatever, psychopath, sociopath, whatever. You have him that's into, criminology and all this stuff. So maybe they could have perhaps connected online. So it's kind of like, okay, my least angle is Zaina. Because to me, I think that it was upstairs first, and it was a target to one of those 2 girls. Do I think that drugs played in there somewhere? I think that drugs definitely played in there somewhere. And this is what I want to actually talk about too. So besides those 3 different things going on, is about that time clock between what Dave said and what Kim said. Okay. Now, again, I'm going to put a little bit more credibility on Dave as being like someone that's talking and is talking from their heart and just being sincere and truly just trying to put out some information in a sense that's, kind of like this stuff that goes on. So he said that his phone was blowing up and he was really tanked and drunk or whatever. That his phone was kind of blowing up at a certain time or whatever, but he was kind of out of it. And he said that at first it was said like it was a knife thing. And then it was said that it was OD, that they OD'd. And so for a few hours, everyone thinks that, yeah, that's more the story, that it was an OD, until it did come out later that it really was 4 homicides with a knife. So my question is this. Okay, there is something wrong with that time frame between 8:30 or let's just say 9 o'clock, 9:30 to 11:59 or whatever the heck it was, that the police get a phone call. Either this is a sorority thing, that you are calling because I believe it was one of the girls that called Ethan's best friend, like, meaning there was a bunch of people in that place, and that's why it was like contaminated, because these other people were called first. So were they hiding stuff? What would have gone on, do you think, Jeff, that happened, say, between 9:30 to 12 o'clock, knowing that it's probably very truthful that all these people knew that something went on at 1122 that day?
Right. I don't know. I imagine my brain first goes to like, what's worse, like you being connected to a murder, or you being connected to some drugs in the house? I mean, I think once you see there's a murder that's happened, it's like, okay, well, I don't know the scenario of everybody clean, get all the drugs out of the house. I just don't see that
I get what you're saying,
happening.
right?
And I mean, you got Kaylee she's got a job lined up. I mean, clearly these are students that are, if you assume that the rest of them are like taking their lives seriously like that and going to school, I don't, the whole drug thing, I would still need to see proof that there's anything related to drugs in there, other than, maybe there's marijuana or something light that is not, but heavy drugs that they would be very concerned about, police finding. It's like, first, before we report this murder, we got to get rid of these drugs. I don't know. I
know, right? Because, but a logical brain is going, like, you know what I mean? A logical brain try to put things more realistically in order. But again, we don't know. We didn't live there. We don't know the lifestyle. We don't know exactly what was going on. We don't know a lot of things. And again,
I think that, if that house was full of drugs, and like, would that police body cam footage where there's nobody that lives there?
Yeah.
I mean, you just open the house and let everybody run around. If you like have like drugs, or whatever you're doing with them, selling them, using them.
That's a very good point.
You just leave the house for, just lock up when you leave, and hey, don't touch my heroin over there. And,
Yeah. But the thing is that, I mean, it still makes me laugh at how long it took. Like, I know back in the day, like if a cop came to the door, you'd be shitting bricks. And those people kept shutting the door on that one day. And they kept shutting the door and going, well, let me just go find someone. And you could see that they're scurrying around, like, booze is getting left out and whatever's going on. Do I believe that there was drugs going on? Probably, chances are. Come on. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I believe that, like I said, Zaina's mom did it and whatever. I believe that, like, rest in peace, girls. But again, we'll see what comes out. But I believe that when Dave said that Zaina was selling coke or whatever, I believe it. Absolutely. Because again, sometimes people they're in school, they want extra money and stuff like that. And we all know that drugs are taking over everything. Okay. It's not rocket science. The people that you think don't do drugs are typically the ones doing drugs as well. And, when Kim said that it was known as a drug house and stuff like that, and, obviously there's people that moved in and moved out and stuff like that. Who knows? I mean, I just think that there's something very strange about that. There's something missing. I can believe Dylan's story. About the whole shut the door, lock it like she normally does, go back to sleep. That can make sense to me versus somebody that's scared shitless, sitting in her room, curled up like a ball going, oh, let me just wait till the morning. That part never made sense to me. So it did make more sense to me when the boyfriend of her best friend said, no, this is, basically what Dylan is saying is that this is what happened. She saw someone, blah, 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 blah. And that she just locked the door thinking it was someone that was leaving, that there was some noise. But most people in their head are going, but how could you not hear somebody being killed and this and that? Well, again, no different than Abby and Libby. You're not going out there looking for two girls that have just been, murdered themselves. And, you're looking for girls that you think are missing because in the small town, you're not even thinking that Abby and Libby from the Delphi case, if anyone doesn't know. We should do a show, Jeff, on all the different theories and speculation. Do another live on that with all the different things that are out there and and try to tackle those ones as well.
I think it's always neat to hear everybody's theory, because this was very enlightening, especially hearing I really like Adam's theories. It really, because you can get locked into your own theory and just stick to it, and it's like, no, this has to be what happened. And it's nice when it's challenged, and then it's like, okay, wait, that makes more sense than what I was thinking, or but we play it. I'm sure everybody's got their own theory. They've played it over in their heads many times, and it's a math problem. It's like, okay, check your math. Yep, it comes out to the right answer. So I've got it. It's like, why won't anyone listen to me? Which I think, what's her name? Kim, that was on all the YouTube channels.
Yeah.
I often wondered if she wasn't just the same as all of us, and she's got her own theories and what she believes, and she just believes them so strongly, and she's got a connection to somebody out there. So, and just goes with that, but that her theories aren't any, more on than any of us, Well,
it's almost like knowing someone that's peripherally connected to a case, which Kim, says she is. And, sometimes if you have an idea of what's happened in a case, and then you have a connection to the case, it makes you feel like your idea is going to have a lot more confirmation, whether it be true or not. What it could be a game of telephone. It could be 100% true. We don't know. But she might believe it's true, whether or not it is or not.
Remember her saying that the Wi-Fi really sucked over there?
Yeah, probably. I mean, as a college town, it probably does suck. But you also have a house with 5 people living in it. All the Wi-Fi is going to suck.
Yeah. Hey, you guys that are watching in chat right now, besides if you guys don't mind hitting that like button, but for all you guys that are in chat right now, in a sense, within a little bit of a blurb, say what you feel about it. Okay, so for instance, Paul is saying it took them a while to determine that they had 4 had been unalived. That's why friends were called to come over, and Hunter's friend eventually confirmed they were deceased. But whatever you want to put in for your thoughts on the Idaho case, whether you believe it was Kaylee or Zaina or whatever, that you believe it was because of drugs, or you believe it was because of, just that Bryan literally was pulling a Ted Bundy move and looked for a sorority, because there's a lot of things that he's done very similar to, TB there. So whatever your thoughts are with regards to the Idaho case, should you be one that follows it, just put.
And maybe secondly, who you think of the 3 of us had the?
Yeah.
What you think of our theories?
Yeah. Mind you, some people probably came in that never even heard them yet.
that's possible, yeah.
But yeah, regardless, I mean, do you think, if for people that were here originally, do you think that Adam sounded the most plausible, that Jeff sounded the most plausible, that mine sounded the most plausible? I knew you were going to say that, little butt kisser. Yeah. Anyway, so
thanks, Ray.
Yeah, I know, Ray, where's the love? I thought you loved me.
Oh yeah, and Bryan Kohberger's a kickboxer. Ray told me to say that.
I mean, well, if you do read a paper, it did say he was like a boxer and stuff like that.
Don't you? I'm sorry to cut you off. With the when I do anything that I'm going out to do something, I'm going to probably at some point YouTube look, how do you do this? How do you do that? I'm about to go do it, and I wonder if if the police have his computer, and if Bryan ever did any searches, or how do you kill somebody quickly with a, how do you do this? How is it done? And I know with me, I probably watch 7 or 8, 10 videos, because everybody's got a different opinion. Like if I'm going out to photograph something, it's like, well, what you know what I mean? So if that is on his computer, I would think that would be very damning evidence.
Right. Well, Sonny and I have talked before. I mean, if someone confiscated our devices, can you imagine the things they would think that was wrong with us because of the things we look up and that we have to research? I mean, I'm sure I'm on a list somewhere.
Yeah,
you have some explaining to do.
how to.
I mean, even like, randomly it'll be like 2 a.m. I'm like, how to get into the dark web.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm working on a video where there's like terrorists and pipe bombs and
hey, easy on the channel. Hold on a second. Let me just check.
Oh, sorry. Gosh, I forgot. You're not supposed to say that.
Hold on, if it turned yellow, not yet. Well, the thing is that YouTube is very picky when it comes to things that are being said.
Yeah.
And
if I speak with a real thick accent or something, will it fool the
it really
is. Pick it up? You'll just start getting like ads from whatever accent you're talking in.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
I mean, like I said, back in November of last year, all of a sudden, somebody used the C word or whatever, or claimed or did a report that, about the C word. Now, the only thing that was said about that, I'm not even going to get into it. So I had to sit there, like, this is on October 31st, Halloween. Okay. That's the day that were having the press conference for Abby and Libby. It was an intentional report to try to take the channel down. So I wake up, okay, it's like 4:00 in the morning. I'm ready for this whole thing. And all of a sudden I'm like, Adam, I'm panicking. All of a sudden on my computer on YouTube, it says basically that I got a community strike. Right. So I messaged them right away. And then within half that day, they took that strike back off. I'll tell you, this is what pissed me off. So it was false. Once they checked the footage, obviously it wasn't true. But that's how pathetic things can happen. Now, ever since that day back in October 31st, the algorithm went kaput. Okay. And they claim, because there are a bunch of people sitting at their freaking phones in their house with their kids, sitting there answering you with a copy paste answer back. Right. Streamlabs, if you're watching but not subscribed, please click here. Oh, that's Streamlabs. All I seen was hearts, caught my eye. But anyways, and so the algorithm just completely went kaput. And I was like ticked off, because I hate it when somebody's trying to tell you about, well, here's a copy and paste answer. No, I don't see nothing wrong or no reflection on your channel whatsoever. Okay, look. I spend all day with my darn channel. I know how it runs. That's like trying to tell a female when you're not about their own body and you're a male. Okay, not going to happen. So quit telling me when I can blatantly see that the algorithm died off and that I started getting a lot of yellows and all my videos had started being reviewed. So that's what happens. So someone like another channel that did their 20 videos. Their channels like mine used to be always green. After that particular day, I don't even try to use the word usually murder in anything anymore. Whereas before I could. So at halftime we're saying unalived, or homicide's a better word anyway. But it's just, so YouTube is like, it's definitely not a very well-balanced run machine. It totally is not. I got 2 videos that went yellow on me. There's nothing wrong with my videos at all. I'm going to get them probably turn green after YouTube takes 2 or 3 days to finally determine that they're going to be green. And it's just ridiculous. Where somebody can sit there and say all these things and then they turn green, and it's just very frustrating that all the time, like words like what you're saying, that I'm too busy going, no.
Yeah, sorry about that. I hope I didn't give you a yellow.
Let's see. No, it's still green as at the moment. But I've had videos or lives go green and then later on turn yellow, like the last live I did on Nicola Bully, right? It was at 1,064 or 74 views at the time that the live ended. I go back to it later on, and then it's at like working its way up, and it's like at 5,000 something views on that live. But it's yellow. What does yellow mean? Well, it means that you're not earning money off the ads unless you're a YouTube premium subscriber. Thank you, YouTube, for taking 4 days now, and it's still sitting at yellow. And then the thing is that they'll turn it green probably tomorrow. And by that time, it won't matter because nobody's really viewing it anymore. It's so frustrating, you guys, like honestly. And so that's why I panic when there's certain words that are being said. But tonight we've said the word like murder quite a few times. And I'm like, Oh no, it's still green, but we still have the chance of going yellow after it. But
We're
words
talking
like
about the crows and
yeah. But the words that you said maybe are a little bit more, you know what I mean? There's certain words in the world that you're not supposed to really say too much.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so those ones maybe ixnay on those ones.
Especially if you're going through, I mean, especially if you're going through airport security, don't say those words.
Yeah, right. Okay, but anyways, so go ahead, Jeff. Anyways, back to what you were saying. Less those words over there.
Yeah. No, I think I finished with that. No, but yeah, the stuff that the searches that you put in, you're putting them in. I'm putting them in to create a video, about the subject matter, and I need footage of this, that, and the other, and this, that, and the other I'm searching for. If somebody were to just kind of come out, let's just take a look at this search. It's like, oh man, this is not good. This is not good.
Well, I was going to say, and this is where with the Delphi case and Kagan Klein doing searches for how long does DNA last, and Sandy Hook and John Bonet and all these different things going on. Now that's something that looks suspicious. He doesn't have a true crime channel,
Right,
but
right.
it's but typically in something like that. Okay, dude. So you're connected to Libby's phone and you're looking up this stuff and you're on vacation and you're deciding that, hey, well, I'm on vacation. I'm going to look about this Delphi case that I don't really care about you're saying and stuff like that. But anyways, with the, go ahead.
I was going to say, we're talking about Keegan Klein. I remember I was looking up stuff one time about about child predators. And I remember I Googled, sometimes you just don't think. And I remember I Googled what age is the most common CP age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I think to myself, I'm like, probably shouldn't have Googled that.
You just, at the end of that, you just type asking for a friend and then you're okay.
Yeah, for a friend, right?
For educational purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you guys, going back to Idaho here, for this, like, Jeff, besides the virtual tour that we've done and the whole timeline thing and whatever, going through it, which I thought was very interesting because, like I said, it's amazing in your head when you're reading an affidavit. We all kind of have our thoughts about how we see it playing out in our heads. So besides the virtual tour, or it doesn't even actually matter, what else are your thoughts about the Idaho case that are kind of maybe giving you a thing to think about? Like,
Sure. Yeah, I think sometimes, because some people might ask, well, why would Bryan throw this all away, this education that he's doing? I mean, that's a but I often wonder if, like, is it possible that you start studying criminology and you're getting all this education, all this knowledge, but something in your mind is like, but the hero here is that criminal. It's interesting that I'm learning how to discover what the criminal was thinking or what he was doing, but the criminal is the hero. That's the one I'm really interested in. And then it's like, but is he interested in the criminal aspect enough to basically throw it all away? Because I don't think I get the sense maybe, like, getting caught wasn't, was okay, or maybe it was even a small part of the plan. Like, he was willing to get caught because look at BTK. He's got books written about him. I studied with the woman who wrote the book. I want to be in a book too. These criminology stuff, these guys get jobs at police departments and as detectives and stuff. You never know their names. They're in the background, but the criminal,
Well,
Thank you, Mustang.
Thank you, Mustang. Jeff, that leads me into the question that I've been having in my head for about a half an hour now. Knowing technology, Bryan is not a moron. Okay, yes, he kind of is, obviously, but you know what I mean? He's a book smart person.
Well, he's never seen a crosswalk, so you got to give him that. He's too easy on the guy.
He's from a rural area.
Yeah.
From a rural bucket. But my thing is this, knowing that he knows that the technology is against him. Cameras are everywhere. Like, at what point did he like legitly, he's a law student. Okay, you have to have some brain cells to be a criminology and all that stuff, regardless if he's messed up in his bonker head there. But at the end of the day, technology, cell phone data, computer, right? So that's what I don't understand, because this is what I don't understand with these idiot criminals sometimes these days. Like, dude, you're literally got everything that's walking you right through your life. Your phone is busting everybody, especially.
Right. And you turn your phone, and turning your phone off now during the time of a crime is almost as incriminating as having it on you at the scene.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, now if you turn your phone off routinely, there could be an argument that that's a pattern. But I mean, if you never turn your phone off or never put it on airplane mode, and then your phone is turned off or put on airplane mode for 2 hours, like Bryan Kohberger's was, only during the time of the unaliving of these 4 people, to me, that's pretty incriminating. I know then his phone went off again the next night when he was driving around, but
you guys,
it does make one look suspicious.
Yeah.
Also, should make us, if we ever turn our phones off, like, just cross your fingers. It's like, I hope no crime is going on right now as I'm turning my phone off.
Or just routinely turn your phone off just in case.
Yeah.
But
I often picture Bryan like afterwards, looking at his checklist, like, okay, be sure to turn the phone off, do this, don't drop the sheath. And then as he starts after the fact, his mind was probably racing of like, oh my gosh, what about this? Oh my gosh, what about this? What about the camera? Oh, I shouldn't have used my own car. What was I thinking?
Right. Because he turned it back on at 4:28 a.m. But, approximately 10 minutes after let's say 10 minutes after he was driving away. But
surely, yeah.
I would.
Yeah, go ahead, Adam. Sorry.
Honestly, this is a little unrelated, but I was thinking about him driving away, and it's hard to imagine that he did all of that in that house without leaving a lot of or without leaving the house without a lot of evidence on him, meaning like blood. And I know that when we read what they took from that car, when they took the Elantra apart, I mean, they took the door panels. I can't remember. They took the seatbelt. And I'm just trying to think of like all of the places he probably would have had blood, and even just him climbing on that bed, if it was pushed up against the wall with Kaylee and Maddie, I would think his knees would have had a lot of blood on them. Would that be on the steering wheel? Would it have been on the door frame, on the door of the car? I mean, I think it would be impossible to have kept that car forensically clean.
And if they do have all that stuff, is this how they would be behaving? Will they be behaving, not showing their cards? Basically, just like, we've got all this stuff, but we've got to make sure that, we're ready when it comes to battle in court. When they try to knock this out or knock that out, or say this is irrelevant or this can't be used. And so, that's what they have, like all this. I mean, what's the officer in the investigation that said, we have our man. He's pretty confident they've got their guy. And I believe. One of the things too about that it just came to my mind with regards to the time it took to do everything. I was watching and looking at the photographs from the Jodi Arias case, and she did what she did to Travis in under 3 minutes. It was looking at the timestamps of the pictures. You go from the last one to the one where it looks like he's done in.
Do you
She's little.
Yeah. Do you think though that Zana and Ethan were like wrong place, wrong time?
Yeah, maybe if they hadn't gotten DoorDash, maybe they would still be in that room, and maybe that's what made the difference.
How many people in chat think that Zana and Ethan were like basically what's the word we always use, Adam, like Abby?
Lateral damage.
Lateral damage. Yeah. So I'm a little bit going here soon because I'm sure you have tacos to eat now that I think about it.
I know.
Oh, I got microwave. That's okay.
Well,
no, the other thing I was looking at while you guys were talking about something, I pulled up Brian Enton. He was walking around the back parking lot, and I did see. It's like I can't believe I didn't really pick up and have in my mind Kaylee's. So Kaylee's basically at a window that is just like the sliding glass door beneath. But it looks like, I don't know that if you park back there, if you get a really good view of anything, you definitely get a great view of Maddie's.
Well, if you go to that far corner of that parking lot, you can see right in the sliding glass door and the window.
Yeah. I think the whole Mad Greek, that's a possibility. But part of me wonders if he just wasn't driving around and he just saw the light on, parked there and thought, wow, look at this. And then he just, he became fixated, just ruminated on that and just couldn't get it out of his mind. And who knows, maybe he didn't mean to do anything like sinister. But then he'd go to his classes or whatever, and they'd be talking about stuff. And he's picturing, especially if he's talking to any criminals and they're saying, like, they're answering his research questions and they're saying, well, one day you just see somebody and then that's the one. And, I wonder if that's all it was as to how he chose, who his victim would be.
Well, see, this is where I like at the start of this, the age range that he was didn't shock me. That's kind of what I had pictured in my head. So
everything about him is kind of pedestrian, in my opinion. Everything about him is kind of pedestrian and boring.
Yeah,
like he's not extraordinary in any way. I don't think.
No, because no. So I brought up this picture here. There's two of them that I brought up. I brought up the back of the house window so you guys could see it better. So obviously that's Kaylee's room here. This is where the blood is now. Because just so you guys know that. So I went back, like when Lana from Truth and Transparency and that, had got those videos of some other footage around, like the time where Kaylee was in the back and the cop comes out and whoever else she was with, that tall guy or whatever it was. But that, I don't know that that was Ethan. It was somebody else. I don't think it was Ethan, right? Anyways, so meaning if we went back to say, I think September when that happened, there was nothing running down that wall. So between September to October, which to me, again, that's blood that's running down that wall in the back, so just meaning it wasn't something that could have been there a year, because the video itself, when those cops went over to the 1122 house, whatever, I can't think of what that date was on anymore, but I believe it was like late September or sometime in September. So,
I remember when Kaylee was in the back with that guy with the zip ties on his wrists.
Yeah, exactly. So that video there didn't have anything running down the back wall. So it's not one of those things like some people are saying, oh, it's rust or this or that. No, I mean, people that work with blood know that that's blood. And it was, to me, it's absolutely blood that's running down the back thing there. But just,
it's a good thought, because I have a water heater that we've got to replace, and it's got the panel on the side. It's got this rusty water has dripped down the side. It's similar.
Well, this is going over, though. That's the difference. This is going over the pipe. It's not coming from the pipe. It's going over the pipe. So do you know what I mean? If it was coming from the pipe, it would be underneath, not running over top. But I mean, I can't remember if it was like, all bottom line is that I just wanted to say that like that mark was not there.
Well, I know one thing, if they do destroy the house and tear it down, we should, hopefully they have a camera on it. We get a sense of how thick the wall is. Because if it's very thin walls, I mean, it wouldn't take much to.
I mean, it's definitely a weird house. I heard that the builder or whatever, built it so that it could maximize the amount of rooms, and that's why it's built kind of like front to back like that, in a sense that it was to maximize the amount of rooms to rent out and stuff like that, which makes sense when you have a certain amount of property. You're just trying to maximize, the space to it. 1 second, let me go back to that other picture. So you, just to ask you again, Jeff, and again, we'll go in a few minutes here, guys. So you think that Bryan Kohberger was parked up more in the back area up top? Or do you believe he was parked here?
Well, no, that's the one thing from your theory I think I like too, is it would the, where that, there's that parking spot where it looks like there's no snow there because there was a car there. That spot where you thought he parked, I think makes logical sense, especially with that shoe print that you were talking about, or footprint behind the house.
Right. That was one of the events. And Adam, did I just see that you say that you bought All Dressed finally?
I did. They started selling them at Aldi. I apologize.
Oh, okay. So let me just, intermission break, guys. So All Dressed chips, I actually can't stand them. I find like they're okay, but they're too vinegary at the end of it, like the aftertaste.
That's the one complaint I have, is they were too much the salt. Because if anyone doesn't know, All Dressed, they're barbecue, ketchup, and salt and vinegar.
Right.
And the salt and vinegar taste at the end was a little overwhelming. But when you live in America and you can't get ketchup chips routinely, they were the closest things that I had to ketchup chips.
I'm not a big Pringle fan. Jeff, have you ever had ketchup chips?
No, I'm going to try them though. That's it. Sounds interesting.
Right. I'm gonna have to buy a bunch and send a box over to America, to the middle part, and go, fend for yourselves, people. But and Pringles just have a bad taste about them. To me, eating Pringles is like eating a cardboard pizza box. There's nothing nice about Pringles. Like I buy them because sometimes they're just convenient and they're cheap, and they were good little snacks for my kid back in the school days, just to get the little Pringles thing or whatever. But honestly, I'm not a fan of.
I can only enjoy them if I take like 3 or 4 at once and just
right. But they're definitely not like, Dutch and Lay's are way better quality to me tasting, or whatever. Anyways, you know what? Hey, Jeff, well, you know what? We'll get going here because it's already been 2.5 hours and you got your taco to eat. And I know you guys are later over there, right? Do you think you'll join us again soon? I'm just going to put you on the spot right now, actually.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, this is great. Yeah. No, I appreciate the opportunity. And I always love just listening to you guys, and I basically all I'm doing is what I would be doing except my fingers aren't tired from typing into the comments. I can just speak it.
Well, Jeff, that's honestly the only reason Sunny and I do this, because we don't like to type.
We can't spell.
It's easier just to talk for 3 hours than to like comment on other people's lives.
Right. Yeah, I know some people that text, instead of typing a text, they actually send audio of their voice. Is much easier.
That's Sunny.
Jeff knows it now.
Yeah,
True Crime does too. Because some people are like there's people that are like, literally, how do you do that? And I'm like, I hit the little microphone because I hate typing and I hate doing this.
Yeah.
When the only time I do this typically, well, it just depends what I'm doing. But if my husband's sleeping, I can't really do this. So I have to, but if I hate wasting time like that. It's like, look, it's just easier to hit the record button. Here's my voice. You can clearly hear what I'm saying. Not these freaking Siri typos and crap going on. Yeah.
And the nice thing about
use it now. From now
the
on.
nice thing about it is that you never have to worry about, you can misread a text easily. Sometimes you're like, well, what do they mean by that? Were they being serious? Were they being facetious? Right. If it's someone's voice, you never have to worry about that. The only time that Sunny will send me a message sometimes, and I'll be like in like a store or public, so I can't like listen to it right then. And then I'm like, it probably looks like I looked at it, but I haven't, because I can't listen to it yet.
So I can always usually tell when Adam. I can tell sometimes when Adam's at work or something like that, and he's getting a message from me on voice, and at the time he probably can't answer me, like he said. I'm always actually aware, because there's times where I'm like, Adam, you looked at my message. It used to be answer me back, right? But then I'm like, okay, wait a second. He's working, maybe as a customer, but he can't really look. You know what I mean? Because when you're listening to it, it's a little hard when there's other people in space and stuff like that. And
you never know if Sunny's gonna be like, F me, let me tell you about this.
Right.
I did that a few times to people where it's just like, for F saying,
right.
And then they send back thinking like, I had that on microphone. I've done it to my husband a few times too. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend that he leaves messages, and I would never put him on speaker. I just know that's just too risky. He's like, "Hey, MFer, where are you? Why aren't you calling me back? What's going on?" Or he'll just make up some very bizarre stuff that is just like, "Oh my gosh!" If people hear that, they're gonna say, "That's a friend of yours."
It's always good to have a friend.
Well, my husband, like I said, I mean, there's times that he's like, actually, no, that's triple X. You guys don't need to know that stuff. All right. But there's times when I let him know that he is on the speaker, because I know that usually every other word that's going to come out of his mouth, oh, for fuck's sakes, in his British accent there. And I'm just like, honey, you're just, you're on the record. Okay. Or you can hear you.
Yeah.
So I usually give him a warning, because I know how my husband talks on the phone. And it's, a lot of, fudgicles and stuff like that. All those pretty little haikus. Anyways, Jeff, is there anything that you feel like you wanted to say tonight that you wanted to say about the Idaho case before we get off tonight, or?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Nothing's coming to mind. I appreciate the the opportunity to be here, and I actually think that that's a great way of, when I do a lot of interviews, set up the cameras, the lights, do video and stuff, and I love to end with that. Is like, before we tear all this stuff down, is there anything else you wanted to say? Is there did we forget something? Are we going to be putting the light kit in the truck, and then you're like, oh wait, you know what, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
So I'm empty of brilliant stuff, other than just tacos are probably really good right about now. So.
Yeah, go eat your tacos.
Well, we appreciate the fact of that nice thumbnail. And so the next one we do on Idaho, or whenever you want to do one for me, like, just feel free. Like, I'm not going to twist nobody's arm, but hey, if there's ever time that you say, Sunny, hey, let me do a thumbnail.
Sure.
What's your topic tonight? Let me do a thumbnail for you, because you're bored and want to have some, they are kind of fun to do. I don't think Adam finds them fun anymore. Adam, do. Before, you used to say that they were fun to do. Now
they suck.
Yeah, I mean, no, I enjoyed them, but I mean, yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
Is it, you have to be in the mood,
Yeah.
And it's easy to it's easy to overcomplicate them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's why I really like Jeff's thumbnail that he did for us tonight, because in all fairness, those are the thumbnails that I should simply be doing, because it's nice. It's got, you know what I mean?
And I was thinking too, I mean, I look at thumbnails a lot, because I generally, when I'm on YouTube, I just click the live button and say, let's see who's live. And then I'm looking at thumbnails usually before I'm looking at, the titles of what's going on. And and oftentimes too, it's like when you leave and then you want to come back, and it's like, wait, where is it? And that thumbnail is like, if I can mention T-Rev, I love T-Rev. He uses, generally for his lives, he uses the same thumbnail look. But I mean, it stands out. It's like when I'm looking for him, it's like, there it is. It's the same as icons you'd have on your desktop, where you put them, and you want to be.
I get that concept. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think T-Rev, if I'm not mistaken, T-Rev. Okay.
I'm too ADHD to do that. Plus, I like different. It depends on my mood. So I'm like, I want something different depending on the theme of the stream.
Yeah.
But I get the branding in that.
But it's kind of like with that one I did. It's like, if you just think, I know it's something. It was a blue background with white down at the bottom right. Your mind, your eyes just go, there it is.
Right. Yeah. And I personally, like, when I'm clicking on a video, I'm looking, like, for me, like, I'm on my iPad usually, or computer, but I literally don't even read what's underneath of it. I just look at I decide if I'm going to click on that video because of the thumbnail.
Yeah.
Right.
That determines if I'm going to click on it or not. Typically, I never read whatever writing is underneath of it. I just am reading what's on the thumbnail. Oh, okay, click. Oh, but then there's ones I stop and appreciate for a moment. I go, that's a darn good thumbnail. It's like, I love it when people use red, black, and white a lot too, because those ones really stand out. Like, it's not T-Rev, because I just went and looked, but there's somebody else. Like, there's a channel that does one that really bores me. There's no punch to it, and yet they use the same thumbnail like almost all the time on every single thing.
Most thumbnails are horrible.
True that. But
the red, black, and white theme is. I remember noticing on, like, I don't know if it was in a video store or whatever, but the like red, black, and white for like crime. Like, there's a movie called Two Shotguns, Two Bear.
two smoking guns or two smoking barrels.
Yeah, something like that. And then I was looking right next to it. It's like, okay, there's Reservoir Dogs. That's red, black, and white. You know, all these. So it's definitely. I mean, it's definitely a theme that color theme that works.
Well, like I said, I want to.
Can be a little overdone sometimes.
I just really want to appreciate the fact of that thumbnail. Great thumbnail. Thank you so much. I appreciate the fact that you were, and there's no reason to be, but you've been very gracious and keep saying thank you for allowing me to come on. Absolutely no. You know, you're a great guy, Jeff. It's easy to see that stuff. You know, you have obviously a great mind, very creative person to go with it. So honestly, would love to do another Idaho with you or whichever. Yeah. And maybe go over like Adam had thought about was, you know, go over the speculations and the rumors and, you know, go over some of these other ones and, kind of like just talk them out with the chat here. And other than that, dude, you go eat your tacos. Appreciate you being here with us. And I'll talk to you later.
Tell your wife we're sorry for keeping you.
Yeah, I will. I hopefully she'll accept that apology. I might get upstairs and the door's locked and it's like, uh-oh.
Well, just say to her what my husband said to me the other day. Baby, there's carrots in the fridge. That's what my husband said the other day. Baby, there's carrots
what in the fridge?
I would not advise that.
Yeah, I know. You just don't. Okay, you never know. Yeah. You never know. Jeff's might be in the carrots, okay?
Yeah.
Or tacos. Anyways, you have a great night, Jeff. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Remember,
now this is where I get to hit the leave studio button, right?
I can do it if you want. Now,
no, Jeff, but remember I did that when we were testing it. It's like I did that like right in the middle of like, oops, I didn't mean to kick myself out.
I'll do the intro. I'll leave us. Good night, you guys. You guys take care.
Good night, you guys. Have a good night, everyone.
I'll do the outro. There we go. This is Sunny Justice and Aspen Connor from It's a Crime and Shame, wishing you all a good night.